right, we're live on a Thursday edition of the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, streaming live video on BFA Sports live stream. I'm your host, Mike Gill. The PT is here.
Yes,
we are
I am.
inside one of my favorite spots, Chickies and Pete's Crab House and Sports Bar, Egg Harbor Township. We're at the EHT version today. Every Thursday, we're at Chickies and Pete's. This Thursday, EHT is where we are. So I know a lot of people driving up and down the Black Horse Pike. If you want to stop by, get a little ganache, as the PT would say.
Yeah, imbibe a little, get a little food, get a little beverage, get a little bet in if you want, right on the other side of the wall here. I mean, it's sort of multi-purpose shopping at the EHT location at Chickies.
When you talk about a bet, you're talking about the horse racing. Favorite horse racing. You can lay a little wager on the ponies. I love it, guys. I just saw a guy, and he said he listens all the time. He was, love the show. And we're like, thank you. I said, but I envy you right now.
Right.
He's here betting on the horses, having a little
beverage.
Pop.
Yeah, a couple pops. How about a pop? Yeah, we'll do that at 6.
Will we?
Maybe 5. Maybe 5:30.
We got Eagles and Jags.
Actually,
story of
you
this
might
game.
need the drink right now, the way the stuff is going.
Well, we'll get to that in a second. Eagles and Jags, let's take a look at what we got going on the show today. 4 more chances to qualify. We're giving away Eagles, Commanders, Monday Night Football, club box seats, Pete Thompson.
Yeah.
Club box seats.
I mean, come on. I keep giving the testimonial, and I feel like I'm hawking the vitamins or something like that. I shouldn't have to sell it this hard. These are the best possible seats, in my opinion, other than Mike Trout's seats.
Yeah, well, I actually like these seats better than the Trout seats because Trout's watching from the far end zone. I don't like the end zone seat. Do you?
Well, I'd like the end zone for like an all-22 look. Like if I was in a suite in the end zone, I think that would be pretty cool. But these seats are like right on the 50-yard line, right behind the Eagles bench. Club seats, you got a little cushion for your tush. You know, if it's cold, you can go inside. You know, I got an invite yesterday from my brother, late text last night. In fact, it was like 9:30 at night. He texted me 2 things. 1, Phillies blow. 2, do you want to go to the Eagles and sit in 135 on Sunday? And I said, 1, yes, I agree. 2, I wish I could. You know, I mean, I do the show with Billy, obviously, so I'm going to be time doesn't work out. The timing doesn't. There's no way to, like, beam me up, Scotty, and get from our studios in Northfield.
You can get there like 10 minutes or so after the kick.
Yeah, and not park anywhere. I mean, didn't you see that thing where Tracy Morgan was like in traffic trying to get to well, anyhow, I digress. Judge hit his 61st.
Yeah, and they didn't break into the game I was watching last night.
They didn't break into my game either.
Which was the Phillies game.
Yeah, it just popped up on my phone.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I have been one of the people who have been look, I'm not one of those people that just I can't be a fan like that where every night I'm miserable. Like,
okay.
I don't understand how those people like sports when you're constantly miserable watching them. Like, find another hobby.
So you're watching the reaction to last night's Phillies game and wondering how these people could be so unhappy all the time in life.
I'm watching that game, and I'm frustrated with what I'm watching.
Okay.
Not to the point where I need to, like verbally address it or type it out on any social media platform. Like, the season's not over. If you've watched sports your whole life, you know there's roller coaster rides. I get it. The Phillies have put us on roller coaster rides, and sometimes the roller coaster never seems to stop falling.
Well, and where did you put the blame for last night? Because I had somebody arguing with me that once again Nola blows it, and I tried to come back at him and say, look, Nola didn't really pitch that bad. Nola made
one bad inning,
the 5th inning, and he made one mistake that at Wrigley Field, if the wind's blowing the right way, it ends up in the basket, and that's what happened. You know, I mean, to me, I don't think you to me, the bigger sacrilegious or the bigger crime last night was 12 men left on base. They were 2 for 16 with runners in scoring position. And those 2 hits, Mike Gill, they didn't even score a run. So, I mean, you could say, oh, they were 2 for 16, but at least they got 2. Yeah, they didn't even bring in a run. I mean, look, Milwaukee's now a half game back. Here's where we sit. 8 games left for the Phillies, 7 games left for Milwaukee. The problem is all 7 for the Brewers are in Milwaukee. 4 with Miami, 3 with Arizona. That, ain't nowhere like home cooking.
I'm not sitting here today to paint the picture that things are rosy. No, the sky is falling. They are in trouble right now.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. But I feel like we compartmentalize the negative of what we see on one night and expand that as your 162 games. No, this team has had some highs. They've had some lows. They've had more highs than lows. That's why they're currently in the playoffs. So the question is, can they dial it up and get a win against the Cubs today. Mike McGarry, his column "Must Win" is all basically was created by the fact of him saying the Phillies in like 2018 had must-win games in July.
That's funny. Yeah,
and you're like, come on, dude. There's no must-win games in July.
You're saying the origin of the name of his column comes from his phrase,
but
right?
He tweeted out today, yes, today is a must-win. And you know what? Mathematically, it's not a must-win, but they got to win this game today because now they got all sorts of problems going on this weekend because of this storm.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a doubleheader now tomorrow. You've got now you've got to pitch guys like Syndergaard is going to pitch one of the games tomorrow. They're going to throw Bailey Falter in game number 1 tomorrow.
I like that guy.
But here's my frustration with the game last night. You mentioned it. They have 13 runners in scoring position. They can't get more than a damn run. They have one bad inning for the pitcher, and I'm not saying that he didn't pitch well. He pitched well the rest of the night. He had that one bad inning. But that's a lineup that he needs to put away. I mean, he hits a guy.
Right.
I mean, it's 3-2 against the guy, and he hits one out of the park there. I didn't like the pitch there in that spot. He gets it in a bad location. But the fact of the matter is this. These pitchers, Wheeler and Nola, I saw a stat today. The Phillies are under 500 when those two guys pitch this year. Their record is like 25 and 27. They're actually at 53 and 47. I don't know the exact number, but somewhere in that range when anybody else pitches.
How do you think that your number two, he's not an ace, but he's certainly a number two. How is he 10 and 13 at this point in the season? You know, you go up against the Braves last week and the guy gets his 20th win of the season, and you think that's what Aaron Nola should be, somewhere sniffing around 20, and instead he's 10 and 13. He goes 6 innings last night, 5 hits, 4 runs, all of them earned, 8 strikeouts. I don't care about the 8 strikeouts. I care that he had the bad inning. But again, I still am putting it more on the lack of bats and the lack of hitting than I am on Aaron Nola, although it does concern me. And you're right, this weekend they've got all sorts of issues going on with Zach Wheeler is supposed to pitch on Sunday.
Well, here's the problem.
And he has to stay on that to pitch in the playoffs on that same rotation and that same rest.
That's the problem.
Yes.
If they have to use Wheeler and Nola at any point to get them into the playoffs, then making the playoffs is just frivolous.
Did you see the worst scenario ever? Like the worst scenario could be that baseball is built in a day on like October 6th. If they have to, the Phillies if they need that game, they would go back to Washington to play that game after they are in Houston. How awful would that be? Like the only team in Major League Baseball or the only one with a chance, and you got to go back to Washington after you've left Houston just to go play this game to see if you're going to get in or not?
Well, you've put yourself in this situation, but here's the thing. So apparently they're playing today against the Cubs. That game's going to be starting here in about an hour or so. We'll keep you up to date on the Sports Bash. Suarez is pitching. Mm-hmm. Got to win this game today. Tomorrow they're going to play the doubleheader that they were supposed to play on Saturday. They're now playing the doubleheader tomorrow. Right. So you've got a day game today. You're going to have to play a double disco day game night thing tomorrow as well. You're really putting the tax on the arms entering the week. And this is where, because you put yourself in this situation, you might need Wheeler and Nola again in the Astros series. And then that would basically make them unavailable to pitch at all in any playoff scenario. And if the Phillies can't get a Wheeler, Nola set up in a 3-game playoff, that's when they got no shot.
Yeah, and I guess Rhys Hoskins is the player rep, from MLB Players Association. And he had a good question, Mike. He said, if they have to go back for this, if they have to go back to Washington, do they have to play both makeup games in Washington? And it's like, no, if you only need one win, you win and you're in. You don't. The other game disappears. So how weird is that? What if the Phillies got in the playoffs, but they didn't do it with 162 games? That would be weird and bizarre on its own.
Yeah, but there's been times where teams have got in and they have a big enough lead that regardless of the 162 result, that it wouldn't matter.
Mm-hmm. I just think it was a strange thing when I saw that. Look, we got 154 games under the belt, and right now I think they can't find the big hit. They look overwhelmed at times, disjointed at other times. What is Bryson Stott doing out there? Not only is he free swinging and pressing, but then in the field he bobbles the ball and he can't convert the double play. And then a couple batters later, that leads to the ball that ended up in the basket in left field.
Pressing, that's what he's doing.
I'm telling you, Mike Gill, if I have to hear that damn Go Cubs Go song one more time in this series, like if I have to hear that at 5 o'clock today, I'm going to be pretty pissed off.
The moment of the game, 1st and 3rd, nobody out, Harper, Realmuto, Bohm. They didn't get the ball out of the infield last night.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
No, I mean, you get bases loaded, nobody out, and that part of your lineup up, and you can't scratch home a run.
Harper,
it is
you're defending
man.
MVP, right? You're defending National League. You're reigning National League MVP. Real Muto, the guy who legitimately has been the hottest Philly, especially when Harper went down. And then Bohm. I mean, Bohm looks lost at the plate right now, too. And that's Bohm. There's times where he's streaky hot. He'll get hot and then he'll disappear.
Bohm carried it into the field. He made an error in the field. I mean, this guy has been pretty solid at third base after his complete meltdowns early in the season.
Yeah.
He kind of cleaned that up. And then last night, he has the error in the field. You mentioned Stott. He feels the ball. He can't get it out of his glove. That led to that inning continuing. So the defense, which had been a problem early in the year, they cleaned that up a little bit. It came back to bite them last night. They couldn't get the key hit. It is all adding up to a team right now that is playing tight. And Rob Thompson was asked today. Any relation?
No relation.
Rob Thompson was asked today about whether or not, he thinks the team is playing tight. And, he's a pretty steady Eddie guy. Well, I don't know what your feelings are.
No, I like him, and I like that he doesn't get too high or too low. It seems like he has a decent relationship with most of the beat people that are on there. And look, I did see one thing I liked last night. Aaron Nola spazzed out in the dugout, and I'm happy. Thank God somebody has a pulse. Somebody's actually pissed off about not doing their job. Like that made me happy because Aaron Nola usually doesn't go off the rails like that, and he went kind of crazy in the dugout, and I'm okay with that. But Topper doesn't go crazy, Rob Thompson, and I'm also okay with that. I think somebody's got to be the steady guiding force.
Yeah, he seems to be the even-keeled guy. He said he was asked today on whether or not they, there's a sense of urgency right now. He said not any more than what's normal. I think they're pretty calm right now, having fun. Hopefully they're really enjoying it, but we've got to win some games. We know that. Just part of the gig. So some people, that kind of response it'll drive them crazy.
Yeah.
They want a guy punching the wall, slamming, flipping over his desk. I think that answer is a calming answer and is a good answer to be like, guys, there's no need to hit the panic button. You just got to start playing better.
Right.
And look, I know, as a baseball guy, I'm talking about Rob Thompson, talking to the guys, I know you guys know. There's ups and downs. You're going to go 0 for 4. You're going to go 4 for 4. You're going to hit 2 homers in a game. You're going to strike out 4 times. Don't carry what you did today to tomorrow's game. And if that happens and you play free, like you mentioned, you guys should make the playoffs. If that happens, they should make the playoffs. But if they're going to continue to play tight and be worried and concerned, they're not going to go to the playoffs. And that would be...
It'll trump anything to me. It'll be the most epic collapse of anything. And I'm sorry for the folks that are old enough to have experienced 1964. But to me, this would actually be worse.
Why?
Because I think that we're in an age where more people are drawn into it. They're not reading the newspaper in the morning to check the box scores. They're living and breathing every moment of it. We're in a different reactionary time, and the time is, by the way, what you saw last night, where Twitter goes crazy, Facebook goes crazy, Phillies stink. I'm pulling into the parking lot here today at Chickies and Pete's, and I get a message on my phone, and it's a guy who loves to throw salt in the wound about the Phillies, but I think he genuinely cares about the Phillies, and he says Zach Eflin should be the closer. Closer? You don't need the closer's not the problem right now, in my opinion. I don't know what you think, but
well, when did they have a situation in the last week or two that they needed the closer to come in and shut one down? I mean, I guess that one night Robertson was there. I don't know that Eflin was back at that point,
right.
And at that point, you didn't probably know that Eflin could handle it. Look, Eflin has been a great piece. I have no problem with his role right now. You just said it. The closer's the least of your issues at this point. How about getting a hit with runners in scoring position when you have bases loaded, nobody out, and 3, 4, 5 up?
Yeah.
Oh, we got fans talking about who the damn closer would be, and that happened last night. Come on, get a clue.
Yeah,
I feel bad that they didn't get this guy, but get this guy a clue. That should have been your answer.
Well, he's looking at the wrong problem. The problem is that the hitters are not getting the job done. I did see something about Aaron Nola last night, about his ER, earned runs allowed by inning, and he has the most earned runs allowed this season, including last night. He has 18 earned runs in the 5th inning. And, I'm not big on math and those bell curves and those charts and things like that. But if you look at it, first through 9 this season, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are his trouble innings. 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7, But double-digit runs given up 10, 12, 18, 13. Obviously, Aaron Nola has an issue fourth inning, fifth inning occasionally on starts, and you have to find a way to address that.
Well, listen, I would put Nola kind of in the middle. If I'm giving you 5 reasons why they lost the game last night, Nola's bad inning would probably be
fourth.
Okay, third or fourth on my list.
Yeah.
Not hitting with runners in scoring position, 2 for 16 last night. Middle of the order, having a chance with bases loaded, can't get the ball out of the infield.
Defensively struggling,
that
bobbling the baseball.
And Stott's not in the lineup today. I think that Stott is kind of hit the wall. And I talked about this.
And they put Vierling in for him last night late, right? Vierling pinch hit for him. Of course, didn't do anything. But
they pinch hit for Stott when they brought the lefty in.
Yeah.
They brought Vierling up because he's a righty. He struck out. And then, because they don't have another shortstop on the team because Sosa's hurt, they had to move Segura to short, which he hasn't played. Now, I know Segura's a shortstop, but they had to play Vierling at second base in the 9th last night, and Segura, and then, of course, the first ball was hit to Segura, and the second ball was hit to Vierling.
That's usually how it works.
Oh, my God.
The ball will find you, right?
Right, but here's and people were, Rob Thompson, he's got to stop playing this Sosa guy. And my answer was,
stop playing him. That guy's
got
been
to
good.
stop playing Stott every day because he's played way too many games. You got to preserve him for these September games. And then, sure enough, Sosa got hurt, and what happened? Stott looks like he is cooked right now.
He absolutely looks like he's lost out there. And the craziest thing is, who would have thought that the trade deadline pickup of Edmundo Sosa would be a guy that you're like, man, I can't believe that guy's out of the lineup. He came over from the Cardinals organization and obviously defensively adds something to the Phillies that they're sorely lacking when he's not in the lineup.
He's definitely a guy that's known more for his glove, but he's had some big hits. He's had some big moments, and you need those type of guys. Look, Bryson Stott has had a really good second half of the year. He's actually hit lefties better than he has right-handers. So I think Stott is a huge part of your future. But if you're playing him every single day, batting in the 8 or 9 hole, you can start to see that he's wearing down a little bit, and that's why Sosa was getting these spot starts. And I thought Thompson did a good job of sticking with the hot hand when you had Sosa making some plays, giving the team a spark, and he gave this team 2 wins. So not having him, I think, has affected this team a little bit. But that being said, Edmundo Sosa is not the reason why this team's not making the playoffs. It's 3, 4, 5 in the lineup who have chances to come up with runners on base beat. They got to get the job done.
Real Muto. Boom. Bing, bang, boom.
Well, and you could throw Hoskins in there, too, 3, 4, 5. I mean, he hasn't done much. For my money.
You said you saw the lineup today? What was it?
It's the same lineup except Maton is playing short and Vierling's playing right.
Okay, very good.
So if Vierling's playing right, what does that mean for Castellanos? Castellanos not in the lineup? Do we have that lineup up there? Am I not looking at it? Am I missing it here? Is it not ready? The lineup. Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
sorry, my screen. There's the lineup. If you're watching on the BFA live stream YouTube channel, it's Schwarber, Hoskins, Harper, Real Muto, Bohm, Marsh, Segura, Maton, Vierling. So that's interesting.
Okay.
No Castellanos in the lineup today, PT, and he had a couple hits last night.
Right. He certainly seemed like he stepped right back into things and looks comfortable at the plate.
Well, he had that one at bat. Remember, they were kind of like Amaro was saying, it looks like he looks like he tweaked or he's not too.
Oh, yeah, I do
remember. But he did have a couple hits
that.
still after that.
I mean, a couple hits is a couple hits. Look, they need all the hits they can get, quite frankly. They need to have some sort of I would love nothing more than some sort of Wrigley Field, not 23-22, but have the Phillies put up double-digit runs to send them to Washington feeling good about themselves. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? All that will do is you score 27 one day and you know what happens the next.
Well, as long as it's not a week worth of the drought.
Give me a game.
Right.
I don't care if it's 1-0, 2-0. Scratch out a game. Just get a win.
Ooh, you're Al Davis in it. Just win,
get
baby.
A win.
Just win.
Get out
baby.
of Chicago with one of these games, and then you got to try to sweep the Nationals here. And basically, look, hope is not a strategy. Right? Didn't Kevin Durso write that about the Flyers all season?
Hope is not a strategy.
Hope is not a strategy.
Oh, I watched some of them last night, too. Thanks for making me sick to my stomach.
Hoping that Ryan Ellis gets healthy. Hoping that Sean Couturier got healthy. Hoping that all these guys that had injury problems last year are ready to come back and help you this year. That's not a strategy to set your roster for a season. And right now the Phillies hoping that Milwaukee falls flat on their face. That's not a way to try to get into the playoffs. They got to do their own business here. 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. Sports Bash is live I want to hear from you guys out there all day long. Let's hit this text board hard today. 609-403-0973. And if you're listening on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, you can message us through the app on your phone. And, of course, if you're watching the show on the BFA live stream YouTube channel, you can comment in the comments section. We'll throw your comments up on the screen. Pete and I will talk about your comments. It's a fun way to get involved with the show. We're live at Chickies and Pete's here in Egg Harbor Township. Now, I've already ordered the field green salad, PT. That's my go-to right there.
Right.
Every week I get the field green salad. See that, baby? It's all ready to go. And PT went a little unhealthy there.
Well, yeah, and you already had the first 2 bites. I always warm up with some pretzel bites, and they were nice and hot. They were like piping hot coming out of the oven with that unbelievably trademarked Chickies and Pete's white cheese that you know is like, ooh, it's so good.
All right, Sports Bash Live Day at Chickies and Pete's. So if you're in the area, stop by. We're right on the Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Town. You guys know where the EHT Chickies and Pete's are. We're here till 7. Bob Wankel's going to talk some Phils at 2:45. And Jeff Nadeau at 3:25 got his best bets of the week.
He's going to let it all hang out. Mike, the Sports Bash is brought to you by the Gallery Bar, Book, and Games. Get your game on at the Gallery Bar, Book, and Games inside Ocean Casino Resort this football season. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Go to the Gallery inside Ocean Casino Resort to go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to play. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLE.
All right, Mike and Pete, live Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget, another chance to qualify for those Eagles Commanders Club Box seats coming up this hour. This is 97.3 ESPN.
We live in a community that cares. We make sure everyone eats, everyone plays, everyone stays warm, and everyone is protected. We support our youth in organizations that teach the value of community and self-worth. We make strides against breast cancer every day. Together, in this community, we make a difference. RK Chevrolet, RK Kia, and RK Subaru, proudly serving our community since 1982.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all the Claridge has to offer.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles, you want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
Happening Live, Chickies and Pete's, every Thursday. I'm Mike, that's Pete. If you're watching live video on the BFA Sports live stream YouTube channel, Jeff is checking in. What's up, Jeff? Thanks for watching. Says, Mike, I went from 99% sure the Phillies would make the playoffs to 80% sure the Phillies are favored to win today, and they must win today. Maybe with a day game, they will wake up.
Yeah.
Kind of counterintuitive, right?
99% to 80%, right? Well, I went from 100% to I'm going to owe a guy money. I made a bet, remember? And this guy was like, they're not making the playoffs. I'm like, they're making the playoffs. Now, are they going to advance? I don't think so. But, I mean, come on, dude. You got to be kidding me that this is happening.
I wouldn't say I was ever 100% sure, but I felt pretty positive that, look, this team's roster is better than it's been.
Isn't today only Thursday? Weren't we just on Tuesday talking about how the math was in the Phillies' favor and you had that chart and everything, and you were calming me down because I was a little irrational, and you were saying you laid out all the numbers, and I stink at math, but even I could understand that the math was in their favor. I don't think the math is in their favor anymore.
Well, they got to go 5-5 was the number that we said.
All right.
And since that time, they're
5
0-2.
and 5 starts with 1.
Since that time, they're 0-2.
As I look
Milwaukee,
up and see Contreras with a double, by the way.
And since that time, Milwaukee is 2-0. So you went – actually, no, Milwaukee went 1-1.
Okay.
So they lost on Tuesday night. Philly lost on Tuesday night. Milwaukee won last night. And Philly lost last night. So they're 1-1. You're 0-2. You've got to go 5-5. Now, remember, if they finish with the same exact record, Philly wins that.
Yeah, they do have the tiebreaker, which is a nice thing to have, but really that doesn't mean a hill of beans if you can't do your own job first, and they're struggling to do their own job first.
609 403 0973 609 403 0973. That's the text board. Phil wanted to give you a little high five there, PT. He said you brought the heat today.
Oh, thanks, Phil. Appreciate that. Well, I mean, I'm pretty upset at how this Phillies team's playing right now, and that's really the only. I mean, that, and I actually watched a couple periods of the Flyers game last night, so there's not a lot of positivity. PT is usually positive PT, happy, smiling, go lucky. Last night I was pissed off PT, and I'm still a little cantankerous, if I must admit, because I just can't believe that this is happening.
Well, I tell you what, it was frustrating. I'm watching the game last night. They're up 1-0, and then that inning happens, and it's 4-1. And at that moment, you're like, you've got to be kidding me, man. Like, you've got to be kidding me. This is happening again. And I just am like, sitting there, and I understand. Like, I know the fans, all of a sudden, at that moment, it's, here we go again. Always happens to us. I think I saw Jason Stark tweet something out. I'm having some major internet issues. Connectivity? Yeah, so I'm sorry that my recall of things is a little slower than when I'm in the studio. But I think it was Jason Stark. I'm going to try to pull the tweet up.
Okay.
Who tweeted out, here it is, from my friends from Philadelphia. If it feels like the last few Septembers have been a rough ride for the Phillies, well, most games under 500 National League teams from September 1st on the last 5 seasons. Arizona is 27 games under 500.
Right.
Philadelphia is 25 games under 500 in the month of September the last 5 years. So I get people who would say they do this all the time. And my retort to that has been, yes, but this roster is clearly better than those 5 rosters. Well, guess what? They've got a better roster, but they don't have better results.
Right, and like 5-10 days ago maybe, I grabbed something where it was all about the September swoons, the late season swoons. Last year, they lost 6 out of their final 7 games. The year before, 7 of their final 8. 2019, 8 of 9 from September 19th to the 26th. And then 2018, they lost 9 in a row from September 20th to the 28th. So we're not just up here pontificating and waving our arms and coming up with some great, alliterative phrase of September swoon, oh, God, it's happening again. Look, I'm all for,
but
overreaction.
I don't
this
think
is happening.
I don't think people think you're overreacting. That's the thing, PT. I don't think they think you're overreacting. The numbers are there to support it, and they don't need the numbers to support it. They feel it. The fans out there feel it, and they have every right to feel it that this team has let them down. But I would say this. Those teams didn't let you down. They simply weren't good enough. This team, if they let you down, they're good enough. Yes, and that's the difference to me. Those teams, you didn't believe in them at the start of the year. You didn't believe them when they were in the race. People said it, I just can't believe in this team. You didn't like Gabe Kapler. He had them in the race, and people didn't like that team, and you didn't buy it. Nobody bought into those collapses. But this team here, you should have bought into this team, and if they collapse, you should be mad because this team's good enough. This team's better than Milwaukee
not only
from
that,
top to
but
bottom.
if you're a season ticket holder, they already took your money for playoff tickets. Did you know that that's how it works?
Yeah, I saw that
season
apparently.
Ticket holders, even the Sunday. My dad has a Sunday plan, right? So he has 2 seats.
Yeah, but the
for a
money
Sunday
goes towards
plan.
your tickets for next year.
Yeah, but he only got. Yeah, but I mean, you're still out the money, right? I mean, we're in a recession here. Things are expensive, right? Gas is expensive, milk is expensive, eggs, butter, bread. I mean, you're taking my money for a team that stinks.
Well, guess what? You have an easy decision. I don't want my season tickets anymore.
Oh yeah, well that's what the Flyers fans are doing.
Yeah, well, listen. Apparently the big deal was, though, they sent the email out the day after they lost the game. It was like, hey, you want your playoff tickets? It's like, are you kidding me? We just lost that game last night.
Great timing, huh?
Yeah, but when's a good time?
That's true. It's like surgery. There's no good time for surgery.
I'm imagining MLB says, okay, you can start getting your pre-orders for tickets because yada, yada. Although, if the Phillies made the playoffs, they don't need pre-orders. That building will be filled.
You would think, and yet they are doing their due diligence. Like, I mean, I'm not a season ticket holder. I do go to some of the games. I go with my father, but I have the ballpark app, and I bought some tickets through the ballpark app. Therefore, I got the Phillies email, I think, yesterday that was like a pre-sale to them playoff tickets going on sale to the general public or something like that. And it was like pick your game, or pick your seat, kind of a thing. And that says to me that obviously that the interest is not there. If they're reaching out to me, I don't have a 10-game plan, I don't have a season ticket plan, I don't have anything, but I have used the ballpark app. If they're reaching out to me, then they're scraping all parts of the barrel to try and get as many people in. All
right, Anthony in Avalon is texting in, and he says this, PT. Says, Mike and PT, I was 15 years old when my father would drag me down to Connie Mack Stadium for that 1964 Phillies disaster.
Oh, wow.
Still have the warts and scars from that show. This potential collapse does not even break the skin. IPAs and listening to you two keeps me sane. Still keep the cyanide tabs in my wallet just in case. Only kidding. That's Anthony in Avalon.
Good job,
So
Anthony.
I guess the people who are from that generation that saw the 64 are looking at this like this is no big deal. Mind you, that was for the division crown,
right,
and only one team got in from the division. Yeah. This is to be the third freaking wild card team.
Right, and they can't even get that right. My gosh, that's a great reference there to like Cold War spycraft era, keeping a couple of tablets in your wallet in case in case you're caught, you got to check out.
Now I like how he says IPAs and listening to you two. Hey, listen, we're at Chickies and Pete's and EHT. They have a great IPA selection. If anybody would like to offer up an IPA, I'm more than willing to partake with you.
There
On
you
a
go.
day after I watch that, and this Phillies game, they're already down 1-0, PT.
Oh, my
By the
gosh.
time we're halfway done this show today, they could have dropped another game in
That's
the standings.
unbelievable. We haven't even gotten to McGarry yet, and they're already losing.
McGarry's not on today, PT. It's Thursday.
I'm
You've been
sorry.
doing this show long enough to
I'm
realize
sorry. I
the
thought he
schedule,
was on today.
but okay.
What do you want from me? A schedule? A
Yeah,
rundown?
I'd just like you to pay attention a little bit more. That's all.
I got you your salad, your bites. What else do you want?
Pay attention.
I know. I want you to stop saying that.
That's what I want more than salads. Just want you to pay attention, It's Thursday, PT. Bob Wankel's coming up at 2:45.
Okay, is he going to talk about the Phillies?
Yeah, but his name's Bob, not Mike.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, in other words, they're still losing before our Phillies guest is coming on.
Yes, well, unfortunately, Ranger Suarez, and it's, by the way, second and third with one out in the first, so there's a possibility for more runs. This is the team, this Cubs team, that has had their number. They beat them those 3 games earlier. It seems that there's always one of these dogs that gets in the way.
They're 0-5 against the Cubs this season, and I just can't believe it. And I thought, the low point of the season was the 3 games after the All-Star break where they lost to the Cubs. I said if that was going to be the reason that they stayed out. No. New low point. Rewrite the script. Sorry. let's try that again. The new low point is going out to Chicago when nobody's there.
No.
That's another thing. You got Ruben Amaro and Tom McCarthy calling the games on the TV side of things. And even McCarthy was like, boy, it is a little odd being here in Chicago with Wrigley Field so empty. I mean, there's just not much to talk about because the Cubs are out of it, and they're all focused on the Bears and Notre Dame and whatever else is going on out there.
That is a touristy place. That's why they fill it up all the time, but the tourists aren't traveling in the middle of the week in school.
Right. And,
so normally if you played this game
48 degrees, too.
If you played this game in August, it would be filled whether the Cubs were in it or not. It's a September game. No one's traveling, so the tourists are not filling Wrigley Field.
I get that. It still doesn't make me any less angry that they're already down.
Yeah, I mean, they just got to play at the plate and got an out at home plate.
Well, thank God for that.
1-0. Runners at first and third. We'll keep you posted throughout the day here on the Sports Bash Live 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. And do yourself a favor. Check us out, streaming live video on the BFA live stream YouTube channel. You can watch the show. You can interact through there. You can text us at 609-403-0973. And, of course, if you're listening on the mobile app, you can message us through the app on your phone. It's free thanks to First Bank of Seattle. We got plenty on the Eagles and Jags coming up. John McMullen at 3. But on the other side, we're going to talk a little bit about this Phils team in real time. Bob Wankel from Crossing Broad is set to join us. Is he ready to hit the panic button? Find out when he joins us next here on the Sports Bash.
We're here at the brand new RK Service Center. We've got to be super excited about all the things that are going on here at RK.
We are. We're super excited. We've been waiting this for a long time. We're very proud of this facility. We are hiring new technicians, so we're offering a $1,500 sign-on bonus. You can check with our managers in terms of the details on that. But along with that, we offer healthcare, dental, eye, 401k with a match, and on it goes.
No better place to look than right here at RK Auto Group.
RKAutogroup.com, but individually for each manufacturer would be myrkchevy.com, myrkkia.com, and myrksubaru.com.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles, you want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all the Claridge has to offer.
Bob Wankel's here from Crossing Broad. Now, Bob's a pretty level-headed guy, but he'll spit the fire when it needs to be done. I think might be one of those times. Bob Wankel, Crossing Broad, joins us here on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN. Phils are down 1-0 on a Friday afternoon. Feels right, doesn't it?
I don't know that many people describe me as level-headed, so I'll take that. I guess I just present a calmness when I'm on your show. I don't know.
I said it feels right because we're used to this. I saw a Jason Stark tweet that the Phillies are 25 games under 500 the last 5 Septembers. It's the second worst team in all of baseball. So most people feel that this was inevitable, but this would be a massive disappointment, would it not?
Sure would be. This would be the worst of them all. I mean, you can make an argument in those previous seasons the Phillies weren't a very good team, and in the case of the Gabe Kapler seasons, really may have overperformed and just simply leveled out where they were supposed to be by season's end. But this is a different story. You consider what they've spent on this team, how they've overcome adversity up until this point, some of the big names on this roster. They've gotten contributions from the fringes of the roster. So to arrive here now and falter down the stretch in these last 10 to 15 games would be catastrophic. And I think something that this organization have a very hard time recovering from.
That's one of my questions, and I don't want to look too far ahead, but if they didn't make the playoffs, what's the recourse? I mean, how do you break this up? How do you fix it? How do you go into another offseason saying, we didn't make it again, we collapsed again, and we got the same guys, and we're going to roll it right back out there? The perception would be a little tough to sell, don't you think?
I do. I think that's a big consideration. How do you sell it? I think that we're sort of reaching the point where we were with the Eagles in the early 2000s with Andy Reid, where it was like, you almost don't care about the regular season. You don't care about the 11 and 12 win regular seasons. It's show me the end game. And I think that's kind of where we're at with the Phillies. Like, it won't matter next year if this team is 15 games over 500 entering September. I don't think people will be able to get excited about it. You know, I know that they have some young players, like guys like Andrew Painter, who will likely be here next year and maybe, you know, energize this fan base a little bit. But the Phillies fall flat here again and don't make the postseason. I just don't know how they capture the fan base this winter and change things next season. As far as what they do, I think, you know, Mike, we've been talking about this for 2 years now. I sent you a message last night and said, you know, we'll go back to 2020 talking about shaking up this core. Listen, there are a lot of reasons this is happening right now, and maybe they don't falter. Maybe they don't collapse. But you have got to change the DNA of that clubhouse. And I think it's something that might finally happen.
Well, and real quick on that, I went around the diamond yesterday. I mean, Segura's probably going to be gone. Hoskins, we always talk about trading. You would imagine Stott's going to play second or short. Bohm's not going anywhere. Schwarber, Marsh, Castellanos, Harper, Real Muto, Wheeler, Nola. So, I mean, who's the guy that you move to shake it up if they don't? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I would tell you this. There's probably a market for Aaron Nola, especially teams that look at the numbers and you can kind of talk yourself into. And I feel like this is a yearly tradition, a tradition unlike any other. Talking yourself into Aaron Nola being an elite pitcher, but there are plenty of statistics out there that would support that premise. And for a while, you could have made an argument that he was in a short list of NL Cy Young candidates at different points this season. So I think there's a market for a guy like Aaron Nola if you wanted to shake up your clubhouse and maybe move some money around. I don't know what the market is for Rhys Hoskins, but he is a player that I understand his value. I think this is like an ultimate two things can be true scenario. I know that Rhys Hoskins is a valuable offensive player. I also think that his removal from this clubhouse might be a significant move in terms of changing the clubhouse dynamic. And I wouldn't be terribly surprised if the Phillies explored a trade for Nick Castellanos or a Nick Castellanos trade this winter. Not saying that they will do it, but I just think that it's an imperfect fit.
Bob Wankel's with us. So you talk about changing the DNA of the clubhouse. Is it inconceivable to you, or is it plausible to you that change could come with the manager? Because here you got a guy whose 61 wins through 100 games are the most in Phillies history. All he's done is seemingly stabilize the clubhouse and lead them to success. But that old adage and that cliche is you can't fire the players.
Yeah, so I think that we've been quick to give Rob Thompson a lot of credit. And deservedly so for reviving this season, reviving this team that seemed to have no direction. But I have not been terribly impressed with him over the last couple of weeks. And if they were to fall flat, like let's say they lose, they play today, they have 4 in Washington and 1 left with 3 left with Houston. So 8 left. If they go 1-7, 2-6 down the stretch here in these last 8 games and don't make the postseason, I think it's very real that they may not bring him back. You can talk about how much the clubhouse likes a guy, but they have a week here to prove it. You know, you have to cash the check here now. So, you know, Rob Thompson's not Dave Dombrowski's guy. And if there's a younger, more attractive culture changer out there, I think the Phillies would be kind of foolish to not explore that possibility.
And you said there was a couple moves that sort of got your attention that you weren't pleased with. Could you illuminate on those a little more?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Connor Brogdon in the game the other night in the 7th after Zach Wheeler comes out is really curious, talking about certain guys not being available. It kind of reverts back to that Joe Girardi type of philosophy, like not kind of being all in a situation where you feel like, you know, hey, there really isn't much of a tomorrow here. Like we got to keep our foot on the gas. Last night, I thought that the Bryson Stott, the Marsh bunt situation was kind of curious. There's just things. The lineup really, I think, is probably the biggest one. Like you can pick apart tactical maneuvers when they backfire. It's easy to do that as a fan or as a media person. But I find that the Kyle Schwarber, Rhys Hoskins 1-2 in this lineup simply is not working right now, and they just continue to go back to that combination. There's just a lot of things that I don't really quite understand.
Yeah, I think I would be in the category of doing something with Schwarber if I had a better answer. I can't sit here and tell you I have a better answer, so I don't think it's fair for me to be like, get him out of that leadoff spot. Stott looked like he could handle it. Now, he's really, I think, slumping a bit here that if you put him there, you would be asking, okay, now who? So I think Schwarber at least gives you some sort of consistency there because they just don't have another guy to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you look at some of the numbers over the last 15 games, and this shouldn't be surprising considering how poorly the Phillies have played as a whole. But, I mean, last 15, Gene Segura is hitting .241 entering today, which isn't horrible, but nothing to write home about. But Kyle Schwarber is hitting .196 over his last 15 games. I mean, he's not walking at the rate that you need out of a leadoff guy to offset a poor batting average. And so that's kind of where my head scratching comes into play with this. But, I mean, listen, they are here now. They have an opportunity still. It's kind of lame to say they control their own destiny, but they do. And, you know, it's just up to these core guys to finally figure it out. And I know it feels like they're not going to, and maybe they don't, but the opportunity is in front of them. I mean, it hasn't gotten away from them yet. So when we have this conversation, it's not like they're missing the playoffs. They can't make the playoffs. Fact of the matter is they should still make the playoffs. You look at Baseball Reference today, 60% chance of making the postseason, but to be entirely fair, that number was shaved from 76 to 60% entering today after last night's loss and Milwaukee's win. So the math is starting to turn on them at a rapid pace.
And Bob, we're sitting here talking about Kyle Schwarber not fitting in the leadoff spot, but he's a fit for this team. I mean, the play that he made last night where he noticed the third wasn't covered and he just sort of on his own. I mean, I thought that, you know, and he's the guy he's like this year's version of Darren Dalton, like win or lose. He stands up there and he answers all the questions. You know, I mean, there's a lot to be said for those intangibles.
Absolutely agree with you. I think that he's a fantastic clubhouse guy. I think he's a good dude. And I think that matters, right? But, I mean, we're also looking at a situation here where that play should have sparked a winning team last night. That heads-up base running, he takes third base. That should have opened the floodgates for this team, and it didn't. And the multiple home runs on Sunday should have powered the Phillies to a really big series win over Atlanta, and it didn't. You know, so I agree with you. Kyle Schwarber's actually done a nice job in terms of the presence and you know, winning cultural type stuff, but you know, the rest of this team, for whatever reason, it just doesn't seem to move with him.
Yeah, here would be my thing, Bob, too, on this whole collapse and the way things are going. The previous 4 years, they weren't good enough. For them to be there, you mentioned it, they overachieved. This roster's good enough. That's why they do this every September, get used to it. Yeah, I'm used to it because those teams weren't good enough. They didn't belong there. This team not only belongs there, they shouldn't be in this spot. That's what makes this one epically disappointing if they can't make it. This roster is way better roster than Milwaukee's roster.
Yeah, it is. I mean, listen, they have a lot of elite level players, big money players, and they've they've gotten a lot of contributions from fringe players. Like Mundo Sosa and Nick Maton's had moments, and Bryson Stott had started to figure things out up until the last couple of weeks here. And it's definitely been a more complete roster, and that's given contributions up and down it. But, I mean, it's all set up here. They were good enough to race out to this spot. They have, some pretty decent starting pitching at the top of the rotation. They have some big bats. Like, they are, in my opinion, you lay out Milwaukee and you lay out the Phillies are the better team. There's no reason for this to be happening. And I mean, even as we have this conversation, I look over my shoulder and it's, 1-0 Chicago here. They got a runner in scoring position to start the second. I mean, this is, it's just amazing what's going on with this team right now.
We'll keep you posted. Bob Wankel crossing Broad. All right, well, he agrees with us that this would be an epic, unfortunate collapse here. You can follow him at Bob Wankel CB. And, of course, we'll keep you locked on this Philly score. They trail 1-0.
Can we go watch a game in that man cave? That looks pretty sweet, man. Can you invite Gill and I over for some Shastas and a game?
It's a nice setup. We got the hue lighting so you can dim the lights. You got the built-in fireplace. There's a bar around the corner here. We do it all right, man.
All right, you keep talking yourself up there, Bob. All right, Bob, appreciate it, buddy.
I'll see you guys.
609-573-3776, 609-573-3776. I need caller number 7 right now to win those Eagles-Commanders Club Box tickets for Monday Night Football. Caller 7, you're entered for a chance to win Club Box Eagles tickets, 609-573-3776. Caller number 7, good luck.
The Claridge Hotel has been around for a number of years. Here at Park Place and the world-famous Atlantic City Boardwalk, just steps away from the beach. So we've had a number of people come through our doors, each with their own style and taste, which is why they chose the Claridge to take their visit to new heights. Book your getaway today at Claridge.com.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles, you want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
We live in a community that cares. We make sure everyone eats, everyone plays, everyone stays warm, and everyone is protected. We support our youth in organizations that teach the value of community and self-worth. We make strides against breast cancer every day. Together, in this community, we make a difference. RK Chevrolet, RK Kia, and RK Subaru, proudly serving our community since 1982.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all the Claridge has to offer.
Hour 2 of the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Mike and Pete live at Chickies and Pete's here in EHT. We're at the EHT location today on this Thursday. Phillies down 1-0, PT. 2 outs here in the top of the third. Can't get anything going. They've already given up a run. We'll keep you posted on that. We got the football, though, this weekend. Eagles, Jaguars, you can listen to the game. Cover starts at noon. Merrill and Mike, 1 o'clock. Have the call. Doug Peterson's back in town. Did you hear?
I kind of heard that, yeah. Dougie P coming back. He's got a statue outside the
John McMullen about the matchup. This Jaguars team is a lot different from the one we saw that was a little bit they had some issues last year, let's say that. But, John, let's start with them and Doug Peterson. And, the Doug Peterson that we saw in Philadelphia, how is this Doug Peterson and this Doug Peterson coach team a little different? There's been some, their offense looks a little bit more creative. Is Doug Peterson kind of evolved as a head coach with this year off?
I think he's more relaxed. That's pretty clear. I mean, I think he gets to talk to like 3 or 4 people down there. And yesterday did his conference call with us, and good for Doug. He stayed on for about 20 minutes, so he talked to a bunch of us. And I think he enjoyed it, but I think he enjoyed it in very short form. When you got to deal with that every week, it's a little bit different. So I think part of it's just that. And he went into a good situation in the fact that for a couple reasons. One, Urban Meyer was such a disaster last year. He was going to look good no matter what, because he's a pro and he knows what he's doing. And then second, I think Urban Meyer was so bad, people forgot how good a prospect Trevor Lawrence was. So for a guy who played the position, for a guy who knows the position, for a guy who takes pride in how he develops young quarterbacks, I mean, that's a piece of clay that everybody would like to mold, and already he's off to this great start. And talking to draft people last year, a lot of them said he was the best prospect since Andrew Luck. Some went back to Peyton Manning. Some all went all the way back to John Elway. That's the kind of talent you're talking about with Trevor Lawrence. So, and he's playing well. And, already I think that team's a legitimate contender to win what's not a great division. I don't think they're a legitimate contender for the Super Bowl, but to win the AFC South, they're a legit contender. And a lot of it has to do with Doug.
Yeah, I would agree. And let's take a look at some of the reasons why, Doug is able to kind of do things. You talked about the quarterback at Trevor Lawrence, but much like the Eagles did that helped their quarterback evolve, they added some pieces. Christian Kirk, they went out and got Zay Jones, but the kid James Robinson, they've got a pretty good, not that standout guy. They don't have like a guy that's like a stud star, although Robinson might be in that conversation. They've got some interesting ancillary pieces, but I guess the question is, okay, that's their skill guys, but we know where this game comes down to, John, the offensive line. How are they up front?
Well, I mean, they've given up 2 sacks, so that's going to be an interest. All year in the 3 games, they've given up 2 sacks, so they've really improved. And part of it is, Brandon Sheriff is the most notable addition, all-pro guard from Washington all those years. But, Cam Robinson, Juwan Taylor are the tackles. They're playing well. Part of it is Lawrence is so smart. They'll get rid of the football. It's not going to be a Carson Wentz situation. And then you mentioned the skill people. The Eagles were very interested in Christian Kirk, and I think people forget. Yeah, he got overpaid, and sometimes you have to pay a little bit of a tax when you're a bad team until you become a good team and become a destination. And the Jags probably had to do that, but I think because they did that, people forget he's a pretty good player who a lot of teams wanted. So, I mean, you could argue over the last 2 weeks, the Eagles have been so dominant. Probably number 2 on the list is Jacksonville. I mean, they beat Indy 24-0. They beat the Chargers 38-10. They've been just as dominant as the Eagles over the past 2 weeks. Very small sample size, but that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, and like you said, John, I mean, a couple of big wins for Jacksonville. Plus, they're first in a lot of categories. First in turnover differential, first in sacks allowed, first in rushing yards allowed per game, first in 10-play drives. I mean, Gill wants to ask you about the players that they brought in. I did see this little nugget that there's, 8 coaches on the coaching staff? I mean, I get it, but 8 coaches on the coaching staff that had coached for the Philadelphia Eagles. So how much of that, is Press Taylor also a reason why Trevor Lawrence has turned his game around?
Yeah, poor Preston coach again. That was a terrible narrative by the Eagles that they tried to sell that. But I mean, when I look at the coaching staff, I focus on 2 things for this game. And it's not necessarily the ex-Eagles guy, although one of them is an ex-Eagles guy, and that's Mike Caldwell, the defensive coordinator. And Mike was a player here and an assistant under Andy when Doug was an assistant. But, he was an assistant with Todd Bowles last year. And we all go back to the playoffs. And I've been waiting for someone to play the Eagles like Todd Bowles played the Eagles in the postseason, and nobody's done it. Well, maybe Mike Caldwell was there. He was part of it. So maybe because I want to see that test. And maybe we get that test this week for this Eagles offense. And then from the perspective of Mike McCoy, who's the quarterback's coach and used to be Nick Sirianni's boss with the Chargers when he was the head coach there, and Jim Bob Cooter is the passing game coordinator. And he's really close to Nick Sirianni and was brought in last year as a consultant and a special projects guy. Other than Shane Steichen, nobody knows Nick Sirianni better than those 2 guys. So they kind of know what he wants to default to in big situations. The Eagles' offense is pretty simple, and that's not an insult. Well, everybody knows what they're doing. But I do think it's a little bit of an advantage to know in a high-leverage situation like McCoy knows what Nick Sirianni likes. Jim Bob knows what Nick Sirianni likes, so that might be a slight advantage.
Yeah, so I find that interesting that there might be an advantage there to sort of knowing the other side a little bit, but you also have to have the talent to do it. And I see, John, this rookie linebacker, Devin Lloyd, back-to-back interceptions. I mean, Jalen Hurts has been pretty safe with the football through 3 games so far, but are there some possible, trouble spots on that Jacksonville defense that could give Jalen Hurts trouble?
Yeah, I mean, Jacksonville's been bad pretty much since, 2017 really was the last time they were good. They were in the AFC Championship game when the Eagles were in the NFC Championship game. Ever since then, they've been drafting pretty high in the draft. And all of a sudden, it was very similar to Detroit in week 1, where you wake up one day and you say, wow, they got some good players. It starts with Trevor Lawrence, and Trayvon Walker is the number 1 pick this year. And I think people said, very similar to Jordan Davis, because Georgia was so deep and talented. He didn't play that much. And people are saying, how is this guy the first overall pick? Well, now they know, because he's so gifted and so talented. The Eagles and first-round linebackers, everybody wanted the Eagles to take Nakobe Dean in the first round or Devin Lloyd. And they ended up, they're getting great linebacker play from T.J. Edwards and Kaiser White. But, he's gifted. And if you go back to what I said about Tampa and Mike Caldwell and Todd Bowles, that was one of the, you can come up with a good plan, but you especially need linebackers who can run sideline to sideline. Tampa Bay had that. Lloyd can do that. So, he might try to unleash that plan again, and we'll see how Jalen Hurts handles it this time.
John, you mentioned Detroit and Jacksonville. The one difference between the two teams is probably the quarterback, right? I mean, if Detroit had better quarterback play, they might be a legitimate team. In the mold that you're talking about Jacksonville, you're talking about Jacksonville being a legit AFC South contender. We're not saying that about Detroit because Jacksonville has their quarterback. Detroit doesn't. But you're right. They've got a lot of other ancillary pieces that are pretty good, and their front seven's part of it. They haven't allowed a touchdown to a running back, 3.62 yards per carry. So if the Eagles are going to win this game this week, do they have to put the ball and put this game on Jalen Hurts' back?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. That's certainly strength versus strength, and these are all small sample sizes we're talking about. Ultimately, I think they're giving up some absurd number. I think it's 55 yards a game rushing. I expect the Eagles to go over that. Jalen Hurts might go over that with 3 scrambles. So I always expect the Eagles to go over, and they obviously had a poor day in Washington. I think a lot of that had to do with Jonathan Allen's dominance and Deron Payne, and they just had a good game. And people forget the other team has good players, and sometimes they play well. But I always expect the Eagles to be able to run the ball at least competently, and I do expect that here. But in theory, they're going to have to throw the football. And the Eagles want to throw the football. I mean, let's be honest. Nick Sirianni loves playing 11 personnel. They've been effective. They now have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and they can get open. Dallas got it. So they're going to try to throw the ball. But one thing Nick Sirianni has proven is that he will do whatever it takes to win a game. And if Jalen Hurts doesn't have it, like a pitcher who maybe doesn't have his best stuff, then he'll default back to the running game. If the running game's not doing it, he'll try to get things going in the passing game. So he's proven he'll do what he needs to do to win on a particular game day. Yeah,
I know that it's interesting because Doug's coming back, and he was a very popular guy. He won the Super Bowl, and then until he wasn't, right? Until the team looked a little vanilla. I don't know if that was more Doug looked vanilla, Wentz was so awful, whatever happened there. But what do we know about Nick Sirianni as a head coach? Well, is he a good head coach? What's his role? Are we still trying to figure out what kind of coach he is? I think, like, with the former head coach coming here, who was a popular figure, who is Nick Sirianni?
Well, I think he's proven he's a good head coach. The question, I think the always question is, what is the shelf life of these guys? Because we saw how quickly it can go from, the penthouse to the outhouse with Doug. You win the Super Bowl, not only a Super Bowl, but the first Super Bowl, the only Super Bowl in franchise history, and you're out 3 years later. So everybody's got a shelf life. One thing I question, you hear it every week. Last week it was Kobe Bryant. This week it's Tiger Woods. He's big on connection, and he's big on motivation and things like that. But that gets old after a while, and people stop listening. So to me, it's proven he's a good coach. I think, the best part of Nick Sirianni is what I just talked about, the being malleable. I mean, when's the last time you saw a rookie coach who was brought in as an offensive guy and to be a play caller say, you know what, this job is pretty stinking big. I'm going to scale that back. I have other things to do. I'm going to hand over play calling to Shane Steichen. I like that he's not an ego guy. I like the fact that he's a CEO coach. He's clearly the best coach of his rookie class by far. I don't know what the shelf life's going to be, but it's looking pretty good right now. I will say that.
And it's kind of funny, John. I mean, all the stuff that people made fun of Nick for last year are things now that they see that the players have bought in, so it's not such a big deal. The watering of the flowers, or
I still make fun of him, Pete. But he likes it. He enjoys it. He knows he gets some, the flower stuff and all. I told everybody that week the players loved it, but they were all over him that week. I mean,
well, if he says that and the team is 5-2, it's probably received differently from where they were. I don't remember what their record was at the time, but I believe they were kind of struggling a bit.
Yeah, 2-5. Yeah, people were calling for his job, which was ludicrous. But yeah, I mean, everything, and I think everything's sped up now. So if you do perform poorly, everybody's, look at Gannon. I mean, they wanted Gannon heads after one game in Detroit. Nobody realized how much talent Detroit had. Nobody realized the environment in Detroit because they've been bad for so long. That was a really difficult place to play. And if the Lions ever get good, you're going to see that pretty continuously. Fans get hyper-focused on their own team, which is understandable, and they don't tend to look at the competition. And the NFL really is based on parity. You see teams like Jacksonville who are a laughing stock. They change coaches, and already we're talking about them winning, potentially winning a division. That's because every team in this league has good players. Every single team in this league has really good players. It's not Alabama against Louisiana Monroe, where you got to win. If you don't show up, and it was interesting, Nick Sirianni today, that's another thing about Nick. I think people don't realize he's got a temper, man, and he'll go off on the players. He comes across as this, and he is a very likable person, but he's not, he's also got that Italian blood, and he also gets angry. And they weren't going full bore in a ball security drill, and he was ripping some paint down. He was screaming so much.
John, this may be a little out of left field, but my affinity for the Kickers, right? And the only thing in the first 3 weeks that's been a bit of a concern for me is the special teams game, not kicking per se, but the return game for sure, and watching Covey be the tackling dummy against the Washington Commanders. And just, did people press Michael Clay the other day, or his own coaches, do you think, behind closed doors, saying to him, like, dude, what are you doing? I mean, where do you gauge the level of the special teams play right now and any concern about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's been bad. Yeah, I mean, people forget about the third phase, and it hasn't mattered yet. But at some point, and I've written about it, and I've talked about it, and yeah, Michael got a lot of questions about how they're struggling. And my concern, it's not just the returners. It's the coverage. It's the block kick. Aaron Cepas and his struggles as a punter. It's pretty consistently poor, and that's been the one phase, obviously. But it hasn't mattered. So, if you look at the blocked field goal, and if they return that for a touchdown and it changes momentum, I think people would be paying more attention. Typically, and I'll give Paul Domowitch credit for this. Domo, they had such terrible field position against Minnesota. They were doing those mortar kicks because they didn't fear the Eagles' return game at all. In fact, they wanted them to return it. And sure enough, it was probably the only thing the Vikings did right. They had a long field every time. Typically, when you have to drive a long field, you're going to lose. But the Eagles were so effective offensively, everybody forgot about it. And Tomo went back, and the last 6 times that they started with that kind of field position consistently, they lost 5 of them. So percentage-wise, if you keep doing that and the other team plays a little bit better, it's going to bite you in the you-know-what. So, yeah, it's a big concern. And the Eagles have spent more time on it over the past few weeks. And one of the things I pointed out is, back in Andy's and even Chip Kelly when Dave Phipp was here, they always kept a player or two who was really great on special teams. Chris Maragos, Brian Brayman, Najee Good. They don't do that anymore. And I think it's a mistake.
Mm-hmm. John McMullen with us here, looking at the Jags and the Eagles. Of course, you can hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. One thing that I guess you got to wonder is Jacksonville's good against the run, but how do they stack up with A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert in the Eagles' pass game? Is that an area we talked about with the Eagles might want to throw the ball, but is this a team that they should be able to throw the ball with regularity against?
Yeah, I mean, if they get consistent play from the quarterback, and they certainly have thus far, they should be able to throw the ball on anyone because, as A.J. Brown's locker says, always open. He's always open. Devontae's always open. Dallas is always open. I mean, I've been asking a bunch of my guests. I say, if you're a defensive coordinator, if you are Mike Caldwell, what do you attack? What do you try to stop? If you have the Bill Belichick mentality, which is, okay, I'm going to take away your, sometimes it's your best player, sometimes it's the second best receiver, and if he has a good corner who can lock down, a star receiver, depending how he goes about it, so many teams try to emulate it. And I don't know who I would try to take away from the Eagles because it doesn't matter what you do. And I keep coming back to the quarterback. And right now the quarterback, and that's what Todd Bowles did, and that's why I want to see it. But right now the quarterback's playing like an MVP. So, I don't know how you stop this offense right now.
All right, John McMullen, Birds 365. They'll have more tomorrow morning at 8 on the Jacob Media YouTube channel, and he joined us here on the Sports Bash as he does each and every Monday through Thursday on 97.3 ESPN. Johnny Mac, have a good weekend, bud.
All right, thanks, guys.
Take care,
John's
John.
back on Monday's show. We'll get reaction from him after the Nick Sirianni press conference. Jeff Nadeau, what's the best plays this week? College football, Thursday night game tonight. He's got a Friday play that I think you're going to want to play. We got that coming up next. Jeff Nadeau from Barstool Sports set to join us next here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, and streaming live video on the BFA live stream.
We live in a community that cares. We make sure everyone eats, everyone plays, everyone stays warm, and everyone is protected. We support our youth in organizations that teach the value of community and self-worth. We make strides against breast cancer every day. Together, In this community, we make a difference. RK Chevrolet, RK Kia, and RK Subaru, proudly serving our community since 1982.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles, you want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all the Claridge has to offer.
All right, the football starts tonight. You can listen to it on 97.3 ESPN. Thursday night football. Miami and Cincinnati, college games Thursday as well. Friday, Saturday, we're going to look at all the top bets for the weekend. Jeff Nadeau, Barstool Sports, set to join us to give us some of his favorite plays and pontificate on some of the best lines this weekend. And he joins us for another conversation on the sports betting world. Jeff Nadeau, Barstool Sports. What's up, buddy?
How are you, Mike?
Doing good, man. And Thursday night football's back, so we're all kind of back in that mode. Let's start with the Thursday night game tonight. You got Miami, Cincinnati, kind of an interesting spot here. Everybody's hyped up on Miami. Cincinnati's been under the radar. They finally won last week. Is this a game you like tonight on Thursday night football?
No, not really. I don't usually play it. I think it's a weird spot. Players don't generally like it. I think it's a tough betting situation. This one, though, I don't mind. I don't hate the game. I think you approach it from Cincinnati in the first half standpoint. I think they generally probably do cover, but I've got a hard time playing it at 3.5. It could have been gotten at a much better number, several days ago. Look, I'm not saying Miami's a fraud. They're not. They've been very good. I give them a lot of credit. Their coach has been great. Tua has been good. Having a big-time receiver obviously helps. We know all about that in Philadelphia. But I look at it and I just say to myself, I just don't actually believe in the Dolphins. Do I actually believe they can make a run in the playoffs? No, I don't. I think they're kind of gimmicky. Defensively, I don't think they're great. I look at the Bengals, as you said, kind of forgot about them. Joe Burrow played well in one half this year, and we've kind of written them off. They're at home here. I think they can feed off the crowd. The Dolphins had 90 plays, I think, or more last week. A lot of plays. They come back short week. I think the Bengals are up by 3 or more at halftime. I'll gladly lay the 2.5 here. I think the Bengals win and cover, but I think the value's in the first half.
Okay, let's go to some Sunday plays. Jeff Nadeau, Barstool Sports. Let's look at the Eagles, man. I mean, we talk about them all offseason. I know they made a lot of moves, and I certainly know your passion towards this team. They're off to a great start. They're doing it in a variety of ways. The number 6.5, very interesting number, just under the touchdown for Sunday.
Yeah, it's a fascinating game, right? Because you have Doug coming back, and by the way, look, I don't think this fan base would, but you're not gonna. I hope they don't boo Doug Peterson.
No,
it's a disaster if they did. But as far as this game, I kind of thought the Eagles would struggle over the weekend, and they didn't. They really are beating teams they should beat right now. And look, while this Jaguars team is better, I'm not willing to get involved in under a touchdown. The Eagles are very good at home. That crowd's been great, even just in one game this year. We know that's going to be a great atmosphere. Look, I think the Jags are better. I think they're a lot like the Detroit Lions were. They do have a better quarterback as well, but I think defensively they still have major issues. I'd have to imagine that the defense continues to play well. You just kind of are banking on the fact they just continue to do the things we know they're able to do. The Eagles are going to put up a clunker sooner or later, but am I willing to get involved under a touchdown? No. I think the Eagles will win. Is it the best play on the board? No. I think they do end up covering. I will say this, in the slot, Christian Kirk, got to keep an eye on him. He's a very good player. This team has more weapons than we think. They're much better than they've been in years past.
All right, we'll get Jeff's favorite NFL play in just a second. I want to throw a couple more interesting ones. I got Dallas 3 here. I mean, Philadelphia, what they did to Wentz last week, I would imagine Dallas, they're going to have their way here. I like the number 3. I kind of feel like Dallas, 17-3, something like that.
I'm not real interested. Look, I know Dallas is solid, and they've been okay without Dakota Prescott. But look, at the end of the day, I don't know. I think that game the other night could have went either way. I mean, we had Daniel Jones is just not a good quarterback. Listen, not that Carson Wentz is either. I look under the number, Mike.
Yep.
I think anything above 40, I have to lean under. I mean, the Commanders are such a dreadful team on offense. They just can't protect Carson Wentz. I would look maybe towards if you could find a sack prop, maybe you just keep betting against this Commander defensive line or offensive line. They're just not any good. DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons, that's a damn good football team on defense. This number's gotten below 42, which is evident as well. I would lean on an under again. It would have came in last game at this number. You got to bet these numbers early, Mike, if you like unders, because you look at the other night, that number got below 39. You could have got it above 40 at one point. You ended up losing if you got the worst number.
I got to tell you, through 3 weeks of the NFL season, Jeff, it's almost a historic under pace right now, right? I mean, this has been,
Yeah.
if you like an under, which is a tough bet to sit there and watch a game with the under, but the overs are hitting just 38% of the time this year. So that's a game I like under. Yep.
You know, Mike, it's so funny you say that because I'm 3-0 in the NFL so far this year, and I've just really been betting it slowly. But two of the games I bet have been overs, and they both came in. So it's been weird.
You bet Detroit because they've hit over all three.
No, one was that Titans Bills game that went over by half a point, and then I had the that wild over with Arizona and Las Vegas as well. So
that was.
Yeah, it's been a weird start, but hey, I got to be honest. I forget what my play was last week. I don't think it was an over, but yeah. As far as the rest of the card, you know, I'm usually a guy that bets the NFL the day of. I know that's kind of a bad way to look at it as a gambler, but I think early in the season, it's hard to kind of tie down some of these situations. I'm going to keep saying it as well. I think the Titans are a lot better than they played. That's who I had last week. I had the Tennessee Titans +2 against Las Vegas. Didn't understand that line. I didn't get why they were a dog at home. I think the culture's in a good spot last week. I think it really made sense for them to win. But I think this Titans team's legit, man. I still like Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill looked really good last week. They're starting to get more out of Robert Woods, and Traylon Burks is playing well for them as well. So I'm going to kind of tie down this card. I'll tell you what, looks to be more unders this week. Jets Steelers looks like a low-scoring game. Commanders Cowboys.
Bears, Giants.
Sure. Yeah, the Broncos can't seem to score right now. I mean, will Las Vegas win at any point? You got to think they're a good play this week, right? I mean,
I jumped on Jeff, you and I took Tennessee was my favorite play of the week last week. That was my best bets on Believe in the Bets. Tennessee, love them. Love them again this week against the Colts. They're getting 3.5 against the Colts. I just don't buy it. But you're right, the unders, man. Denver, Oakland, that's a weird number. That number, the over-under numbers, some of them have jumped like 4.5 points. And I think that was one of them that has taken you know which one's jumped a lot? Rams, Niners. That number has jumped almost 5 points.
Yeah, I mean, the Rams are a weird team, man. Why they're a dog this week, I don't really know. But, Mike, this is a stone-cold Niners line, if you will. Whole world will be on the Rams here. Sharp people will take the Niners. This is one of those Jimmy G patented good games. Shanahan does nothing wrong on offense, and they win. This is a great spot here.
Yep, I love San Fran. I agree because they were on national TV. They struggled offensively. Everyone goes Rams. Shanahan has owned the series against McVay against the spread. He's like 7-3 or 8-2 or something like that. Got some college plays. Anything? I know BYU's in action tonight, so you got a ranked team. Is there anything on the college card tonight you're interested in?
Yeah, I mean, there's only really one game. I would watch this game a little bit here. I got to tell you, Mike, I was surprised to see this game at 24. And I think what we're seeing here is I think a lot of people are just kind of null and void on this game. This number has not moved at all. But if I played it, which I haven't gotten involved yet, but I may play Utah State here. I have Utah State. I would have put this number more at like 18. I think 24 is a bit high, especially with this being like a rivalry. They call it the Holy War between BYU and Utah State. This is not a great Utah State team, but I think they're better than the record indicates. You look at their schedule so far, had to play Alabama thrown in there. And they've actually, I know, are off a loss, but they have a pretty good passing offense. BYU's would add a couple of high-end receivers. I think they could stay within the number here. I think this number is just a little too high. But that's really all I would look at. Not a ton in college tonight, really.
Yeah, you got the Friday game. I know Jeff's my guest this week on Believe in the Bets, so if you get a chance to check that out. We break down a couple of games. He gives you some plays. Don't forget, check out Jeff at 4 o'clock or anytime because it's on the Barstool Sports YouTube channel. You can check out Big Man on betting. So he'll give you some of his favorite plays. But I know you like one of those Friday, that UCLA game, something you're looking at.
Yeah, I definitely like UCLA. I think, for me, I don't know that I'd get involved under 3. I got 3.5, which I was very happy with. I think this is just a game where, to me, I think it's kind of poorly priced. I don't know why they're a dog in this game. I know that's not a great atmosphere, but this is the first road game for Washington. I don't know if they're real good defensively. UCLA can match what they do on offense. I think if you can get them as a dog, it's interesting. I will also say, another game Friday night I just don't understand is this Tulane-Houston game. I don't know what these odds makers are saying that I'm not, but I don't know when why they have this number at 54.5. Houston can't stop anybody. They haven't stopped anyone all season. Tulane hasn't stopped anyone either. I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that Tulane has had good numbers defensively, but keep in mind the schedule has been pretty much a joke so far. They played Southern Miss, Alcorn, and UMass. They did play Kansas State, and that was a good defensive effort, but they're not a high upper echelon type of speedy team or anything either. This is a big step up offensively. Houston should do whatever they want. The last 4 games between these teams, Mike, have all gone over, I think, 70. So I don't know why this total is 54.5 Friday night.
All right, that's a Friday night. UCLA, he likes in that one. Houston as well. That's a Tulane at Houston, by the way. Couple Saturday thoughts from Jeff, and then we'll let him kind of give his favorite plays. Penn State, minus 25 against Northwestern. I guess these are the type of you're getting in the conference now. And Penn State, we're going to find out a little bit if they are a player in the Big Ten or a step behind everybody else.
Well, I think they're a player. I mean, they're not going to beat Ohio State, and I don't think anyone's going to in this conference. But I'm very high on Penn State. I like them a lot. I'm more a fan of their quarterback than a lot of people are. I think he's actually been a very serviceable quarterback. And if you look at Penn State over the years, Mike, the last great quarterback they had, Kerry Collins, that was a long time ago. I mean, they've had a lot of just very average quarterback. He's a good quarterback for what they got there. When I lay 25, Northwestern is a complete and utter abject failure and disaster, just a mess of a football team. A play that Mike, I think is the best on the board, and I want to highlight it here, East Carolina against South Florida. Mike, I know many of your listeners probably know very little about South Florida. I'm sure, is that Pete Thompson next year? I'm sure he doesn't know much about South Florida, neither do you, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. Mike,
come on, man, go Bulls, go Bulls.
Sing it.
Yes, South Florida, guys, might be the worst run defense I've ever seen at this level. I mean, they're awful. I mean, they can't stop anybody. They're allowing almost 8 yards a carry, each carry. That's hard to do. You look at the situation down in Tampa this week, I'd have to think this practice schedule is thrown off a bit. This game's actually being played in Boca Raton, I believe. And East Carolina has not been affected whatsoever. I talked to some people at ECU, Mike. This is all about inside info. They're not leaving until tomorrow, so no issues with travel for this group. They're coming off a loss. Okay, ECU is a good football team. They're very good on defense. I think they pound South Florida into submission. South Florida sucks. They're bad, and they can't stop the run. ECU runs it up here. I think they win by 2+ touchdowns.
All right, that's Holton Ayers. He's been there Ehlers has been there for 14 years, I feel like, at ECU.
His father is their play-by-play man.
Is he?
Yes, Morgan Ehlers, yes.
I did not know that. There's a little nugget for you there. The big one I'm kind of intrigued by is, I don't want to say big one, but last week, Clemson, Wake. A lot of people loved Wake in the game. They were getting 7, goes to overtime. Clemson 51-45. NC State, and yet Clemson's a touchdown favorite here.
Yeah, Mike, this is my I'm going to talk about this more on my show later. This is a patented don't listen to what you think you know about this game. The whole world's going to tell you, Mike, that it's going to rain and pour and it's going to be very windy, right? Not so fast. At 8 o'clock on Saturday night, it's going to be clear and 62 degrees with no wind at Clemson. Weather will not be a factor in this game. What will be a factor is this is a huge game for Clemson, okay? This week, Mike, you know what I did? I played Clemson at 20-1 to win the national title. It's too high, and when they win this game, that's going to go down to 10-1. Clemson is really good. I'm trying to tell people that. Their quarterback is much better than he's been in years past. They're playing faster. They have better weapons. They just are much more swift and effective offensively. And when we look at what NC State does, they're a good football team, but it's a road game at a very tough place to play against a team off of a bad defensive performance. All Dabo Swinney's talked about all week is how bad this defense was. I think we get a much better performance from them this week. If I get 6.5, I will be playing the Clemson Tigers. I think this team is a Final Four type of team. We're not talking about them enough. This is the toughest game they have on the schedule left.
All right, I like it. Jeff Nadeau, Barstool Sports, big man on betting at the top of the hour. You can check that out on the Barstool YouTube channel at any time. So if you want Sunday, actually you get Jeff live on Sundays a lot, or Saturdays I should say, before the College Card around like 11 o'clock-ish, somewhere in that range. If you follow him on Twitter at Jeff Nadeau, he does the spaces. You can ask him questions live He'll answer them right there before you want to get that final little bit of nugget. But, Jeff, I'll give you the floor. Your favorite plays for the weekend are what's your favorite play this weekend?
Well, I got to tell you, my favorite play this weekend is ECU. I think that's a very good spot for the Pirates to come back in a big way. That would be one I'm pretty high on. I will also say, Mike, and I told your listeners this on your podcast, I mean, Kirk Ferentz as an underdog, I just want to throw this stat out. Since 2000, Kirk Ferentz has faced 15 top 10 teams in Kinnick Stadium in Iowa. He's only lost one of them by more than double digits. That was against the 2006 Ohio State Buckeyes, who made it to the national title game and had Maurice Clarett as their running back. He's one of the great running backs in football history. This guy is just really good in that role. Last 5 as a dog against top 5 teams, he's won all 4 out of the 5, and the only loss was by 2 points. This team is too good to be getting double digits. I'll gladly grab Iowa here. I think their defense is good. I like Iowa.
All right, there you go. ECU, Iowa, UCLA tonight. Friday night. Houston is another play. And Jeff Nadeau, if you want more, follow him on Twitter at Jeff Nadeau and get all this stuff. Make sure you follow the blog at barstoolsports.com. All right, Jeff, I know you got to get ready for your show. Take care, buddy.
Thanks, Mike. Talk to you guys next week. Appreciate it.
All right, at Jeff Nadeau. Always good. Believe in the bets. And, by the way, we'll have Michigan and Iowa Saturday. That's the noon game on 97.3 ESPN. We're also going to have that Clemson-North Carolina State game. You know who the quarterback is at NC State?
I do not, but I know my niece went to Clemson, so I will be texting her about that game.
Yeah, that's that Devin what's his last name there? Devin Leary.
Oh, Devin Leary. That's the kid from Triton
Creek.
or Timber Creek.
Yeah,
I knew it started with a T.
Yeah.
I knew I covered him.
You're getting close, PT.
I'm trying to swim in that area.
Yeah, you're not so
Hey,
so
Nate
shallow. You're on the
recognized
shallow
I was
end.
here. Yeah, at least I'm in the pool.
Get out of the shallow end there, PT.
At least I'm in the
I
pool.
love Jeff's insight. I tell you what, there's a lot of betting guys out there that just throw against the spreads and trends and all that stuff. My man knows the third-string quarterback. He knows the broadcaster.
He had me looking into the Bulls, South Florida.
Go Bulls,
I was
man.
doing some research.
Pirates. Go Pirates.
I understand.
My girlfriend's an ECU alum.
I totally understand. I know why you're doing that. Mike, the Sports Bash is brought to you by Delaware Valley Acura. With new inventory arriving daily, find your award-winning Acura at your local Delaware Valley Acura dealer and reserve yours today.
All right, coming up, it turns out, PT, that Myles Garrett has had 6 other speeding tickets in Cleveland, including 2 of them going over 100 miles an hour on back-to-back days.
Oh, my God.
I have a thought on that coming up next. This is the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, live video, streaming on the BFA Live Sports YouTube channel.
We're here at the brand new RK Service Center. Got to be super excited about all the things that are going on here at RK.
We are. We're super excited. We've been waiting this for a long time. We're very proud of this facility. We are hiring new technicians, so we're offering a $1,500 sign-on bonus. You can check with our managers in terms of the details on that. But along with that, we offer healthcare, dental, eye, 401k with a match, and on it goes.
No better place to look than right here at RK Auto Group.
RKAutogroup.com, but individually for each manufacturer would be myrkchevy.com on myarcadekia.com and myarcadesubaru.com.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all the Claridge has to offer.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles, you want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
All right, Sports Pass Live, 97.3 ESPN, 97.3ESPN.com, the free mobile app. Live video, streaming on the BFA live stream. By the way, I don't know what that gentleman's name was, but it was very nice of him to stop in, say hello. He said, I listen to you guys, but I'm a Giants fan, so I don't listen to you all that much.
Said he was at the doctor's office and heard us on the radio, wanted to come over and say hello. He said he'd never seen Mike Gill, wanted to see what Mike Gill looked like.
He didn't seem impressed because he walked right back out.
He hightailed it out of here.
So this story with Myles Garrett.
Yes.
Listen, I feel for the guy. He got into an accident.
Who was the guy for the Sixers? Was it Okafor on
Yes.
the Walt Whitman?
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay.
I feel for the guy. He got into an accident. I don't wish ill will on the guy.
driving a
But
Porsche
here's what
too,
I would
right?
say. The guy has 6 speeding tickets, 2 of which are over 100 miles an hour on back-to-back days. All right, number one, I don't know where in society we got to where the people who are revving their engines and driving that fast think anybody gives a rat's ass.
Okay.
Like, you ever hear the guy who just revs and revs and revs and revs? Where in circles of society is that like, that guy's really cool?
Can I blame Fast and the Furious, the movies?
Yeah, but...
Can I blame that?
Yeah, there's like 4 people there watching that.
4 people. You think 4 people watch the movies? What are you
No,
kidding me?
I'm talking about the
the
races. They're like what happened down in Wildwood this weekend?
That's a very prevalent thing these days, unfortunately, and it's not just people think like they have that Scooby-Doo moment where they think, oh, those darn kids.
Yeah, but you know what that is?
It's not kids actually. It's actually college people and older.
You know what that is though?
Souping up their cars.
That is something that is much like a lot of things, like niche, underground stuff. I'm talking about the guy who does it riding up and down, the guy who goes out of his way, who's got like a Honda Civic that's like, guess what, buddy? That's a waste of money, and nobody wants to hear it. You want to do that? Drive that car off on a secret society.
You've actually identified the perfect make and model. Like that's the car. Like the Civic, the CRVs, the Civic, the Accords. The low to the ground. Like back in the day, remember the what did they call it? A Fiero. Remember those? Right, a little 2-seater. Right, something that's low, something that's fast.
Yep.
Nissan 300ZXs, whatever they are. Right? How can you take something that's a normal car? And my whole take on it, Mike, is they have a whole motorsports track out in Millville. If you want to go 100, drive out to that racetrack and drive as fast as you want. Don't do it on the actual roads.
Have you ever driven 100?
I've ridden 100.
Like I'm saying, like in
the rich. Yeah. Oh, sure. I've driven.
Do you
I've
do
hit
it
100. I'm not comfortable doing it.
Have you done it because you needed to get somewhere in a timely fashion?
No, I did it because it was fun. I did it because I wanted to see what it felt like to go 100.
See, I have no desire or care on the speed of what my car is moving.
Well, haven't you ever opened up on a highway somewhere? Well,
No.
you don't drive very far outside your comfort zone.
No, I do. I just don't care to go. I don't need to go 100 miles an hour.
I'm saying that you haven't been on a stretch of I-80 in Kansas or Nebraska where you might want to open it up in the middle of the night.
609-573-3776. 609-573-3776. I need caller number 7 right now. Eagles Commanders club box tickets for their Monday night matchup at Lincoln Financial Field. Caller 7, you are entered for a chance to win those tickets thanks to our friends at Garden State Beer Company. We'll be there on Friday, October 28th for a live sports bash. Giving away Eagles club box seats. Good luck.
The Claridge Hotel has been around for a number of years. Here at Park Place and the world-famous Atlantic City Boardwalk, just steps away from the beach. So we've had a number of people come through our doors, each with their own style and taste, which is why they chose the Claridge to take their visit to new heights. Book your getaway today at Claridge.com.
We live in a community that cares. We make sure everyone eats, everyone plays, everyone stays warm, and everyone is protected. We support our youth in organizations that teach the value of community and self-worth. We make strides against breast cancer every day. Together, in this community, we make a difference. RK Chevrolet, RK Kia, and RK Subaru, proudly serving our community since 1982.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles, you want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all the Claridge has to offer.
Is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. It is brought to you today by Caesars Sportsbook. First things first, you bet with Caesars Sportsbook. It's on Caesars. It's up to $1,250. Download the app and use my promo code RadioFull and then place your first bet. If you win, congrats. If not, you'll get your stake back as a free bet. It's open to new users in Jersey who are 21 or older. If your qualifying bet loses, your bet amount will be returned as a credit. Must be used within 14 days. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLERS. Caesars Sportsbook, you bet, you get. You heard in the open there, it's Andrew DeCecco on Football at 4 today. We're looking at the matchups. This is a really intriguing one. Let's start with that, Andrew. Back in August, when we're doing the division previews, and we're talking about this Jacksonville team, I'm not so sure we thought this was a team that could be a division champion winner. But now through 3 games, as their roster, as the talent here starting to show a little bit more and mature maybe faster than we thought.
Yeah, when we were doing those roster previews, I certainly didn't depict Jacksonville to be one of those premier teams right now, Mike. But right now, 3 games in, they certainly have really solidified their presence in the NFL to be a force to be reckoned with right now. And I think that they're really firing on all cylinders on defense and on offense, and have a lot of a lot of intriguing pieces and a lot of growth that you're seeing from the quarterback and Trevor Lawrence, of course, it's all sort of coming together under Doug Peterson, and everyone's really rallying around him as the head coach. So I think that they are for real, and I think they are going to be a viable playoff contender. Now, it's still early in the season, but I think when you look at what they have to work with and their trajectory, I think that there's a lot to be intrigued about.
Yeah, and one of the things you got to be intrigued about, Andrew, let's start there, is the Eagles' offensive line last week didn't run the ball all that well against Washington. This week, this is a pretty good front seven. There's a lot of talent up front, and Trayvon Walker's there, and they've got some pieces that maybe people don't know about. Devin Lloyd, the linebacker, you and I talked a lot about him at draft time, but they're pretty good against the run, this team.
Yeah, I think they only held, I think the most that the Chargers had last week was 22 yards, and that was by Sonny Michel, if I'm correct on that. So they do have a really strong front. I really like what Mike Caldwell, the former Eagles linebacker, now their DC, has done in his first few games as a defensive coordinator. Remember, he's a Todd Bowles disciple, so I expect to see a lot of exotic pressures and things like that using his personality. They have guys like Arden Key, and you mentioned Devin Lloyd, who's also a fantastic start as a rookie. They just have an amalgamation of players that they can throw at you and disperse throughout the game. So I think that they sort of make up for some of the blemishes back end, because they can be had a little bit there.
Andrew, we stumbled on this a little bit today about the fact that not only do they have talent, but they also have coaches that may know the Eagles' tendencies. You know, a lot of former Eagles coaches and a lot of people on there that may know those tendencies.
Yeah, I think it's a really fair assessment, Pete. And, you know, I on Twitter, I put out there's at least 5 that off the top of my head, that I remembered being Eagles coaches over the course of the past, 6, 7, 8 years. Obviously, Press Taylor's there, most recent. Mike Caldwell was a quality control guy with the Eagles for a while there. And, of course, Doug Peterson knows the team very well. So I think that's fair to say. However, it's a new coaching staff in Philadelphia and new schemes and new personnel that they're figuring out how to use. I think Shane Steichen particularly is on a roll right now, calling plays, and I think that he's kind of a hard guy to figure out right now, because he's sort of unveiled different schemes and how to beat different teams that are having different attack approaches to try and stop Jalen Hurts. So I don't know how you defend the Eagles offense right now. And defensively, they really seem to be coming together, especially on the defensive front, and the back end really has been really cohesive, and Darius Slay and James Bradbury and Avonte Maddox and all those guys just coming together and attacking the football and making life a little bit easier for the pass rush. So it's the Eagles are really. The Jaguars and Eagles are facing each other at a very interesting time, because both teams right now are red hot.
Yeah, and, the point about Caldwell and Press Taylor and Doug Peterson and all these other coaches, there is some familiarity there. But one thing that trumps sometimes is talent. Familiarity might be there, but do they have the talent in that secondary to stop A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, the way the Eagles have been using them? So how do you think, with their talent and the way they play defense, they will approach the Eagles' receiving core?
Well, I think that they're gonna try and send a lot of different pressures in order to get Jalen Hurts to throw the ball up there a little quicker than they normally would, to hurry, sort of hasten his reads a little bit there. I don't know that the secondary right now is equipped to stop any of the top three receivers that the Eagles have right now. I think if Tyson Campbell is their best corner, so I imagine he'll do some traveling with A.J. Brown, I would have to assume. But if you look at the other side, Trey Herndon and versus Devontae Smith is a clear mismatch. Devontae Smith should be force-fed the football if that's the case. And I think Darius Williams is the nickel corner for them, if I'm remembering this correctly. So I think that also is a mismatch that favors Quez Watkins heavily. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Eagles have such a prolific group of their top 4 receivers, really. So if you take one away, they have 3 of them that could beat you in a multitude of ways. So you really, if you're a secondary, you have to be well equipped to stop that, and they're certainly not. So outside of Tyson Campbell, I think that the Eagles could have their way in that area if the pressure's not able to get home and flush Jalen Hurts out of the pocket and hasten his reads.
Andrew DeCecco with us. Tell us, Andrew, about the matchup then between the Eagles' defensive line and the Jags' offensive line, because Philly obviously big time was able to get to Wentz last week seemingly at will. Is it going to be an easy task this week as well?
I think it'll be easy, not quite as easy as what you saw last week when the Washington offensive line was essentially a turnstile. But I mean, when you look at it this week, I like their tackles in Cam Robinson, who was a second-round pick in 2017. Their right tackle, Jawan Taylor, out of Florida in 2019, was a second-round pick for them. So that's where I think that they're best. But I think that they could be had in the interior, which is where the Eagles really saw a lot of push last week with Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave, who really had a massive game and was really under discussed, by the way. But those are two guys that I think can really factor in. I think Jordan Davis is going to, another unsung hero from last week, is going to be able to push the pocket and create things there. They have a guy named Luke Fortner, who was a third-round pick in 2022. I think he's a player that they can really test early, and he can be driven off the ball, and I think they can find some success doing that. Brandon Sheriff was a guard that the Eagles know very well from being with Washington over the years. He's their right guard. And Ben Barch is a player who I really like coming out of the draft, Division III player, and he was their fourth-round pick in 2020. He's their left guard. So that's sort of an inexperienced group outside of Brandon Sheriff that I think the Eagles could sort of attack and exploit.
So, Andrew, as we size this up, how do the Eagles linebackers figure into the game plan this week? A unit that's played pretty well so far, linebacker.
Yeah, well, Evan Ingram's playing at a decent level this year. And remember, the Eagles know him again very well, being with the New York Giants, but he hasn't had the best luck in terms of staying healthy. And then when you look at the running back situation that the Jaguars have, Pete, I really like James Robinson is one of my favorite running backs in the NFL. I got a chance to see him up close at the East West Shrine Bowl. It was a mystery to me why he didn't get drafted, but nevertheless, they have the best of both worlds in him and Travis Etienne, who I think Travis Etienne is going to see some looks in the flat and getting him the football in space like that and really test the athleticism of the Eagles linebackers and the range. So I would look for Evan Ingram and Travis Etienne to factor into that. And they also have three really good receivers. Zay Jones had 11 targets last week, 10 receptions, a touchdown. In fact, all three of their receivers, Marvin Jones scored, Zay Jones, and Christian Kirk, they all scored touchdowns last week. So, I mean, they don't have a whole lot of world beaters there, even though the price tag of Christian Kirk would suggest that he is. But they have a lot of competent pass catchers. So they do have some pieces there on offense. I just think that the Eagles' second level is going to be I like what they have versus what the Jaguars have in terms of being able to attack that intermediate level. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they fare in the secondary if the pass rush can't get home.
And what do you think Andrew Jacksonville likes to do with their run game and specifically the tight end too? Because those are two areas sometimes. If the run is gashing you, if the tight end is beating your linebackers, how does Jacksonville look in those areas?
Yeah, well, I mean, in the running game, James Robinson is the clear-cut number one guy. I think they really like him in pass protection. He's also really efficient up the middle of the field. He kind of reminds me of, if you remember the short career where Doug Martin was at the top of his game, the muscle hamster. He kind of reminds me of him in the way that he runs. He's a little bit shorter in stature, but runs with some power. It has the acceleration to bounce it outside, good vision, good in pass protection. So they have him, who's their solid guy, and then they have the explosive home run hitter in Travis Etienne, who's more of the pass-catching option and can factor in the red zone, I think, a little bit more as a receiver. So I think that they're going to try to attack the Eagles in the running game, and I think that that's an area that's fair to really try with the Eagles, because if you looked at Antonio Gibson had some nice runs last week, and I think if the game didn't get out of hand as early as it did, it might have been a little bit more interesting, because I thought that there were some running lanes there if the game wasn't so lopsided. So I would expect this to be a lot more of a closely contested game, where I think the running game could be a factor on both sides. I think Miles Sanders is going to be an integral part of what the Eagles do this week, and I also think you're going to see a heavy dose of James Robinson.
Yeah, we're talking with Andrew Checo, Football at 4 from InsideTheBirds.com, looking at the matchups in this one. You know, Andrew really knows these rosters very well. He does a great job of breaking them both down. And, you know, one area that Philadelphia really, has been tough is when it comes to basically, Jalen Hurts, right? Trying to figure out what to do to stop him. And when you look at the defense, is there a guy on that side of the ball that maybe will have that job this week? Because every team has tried to figure out what to do. He's beat you with his legs. He's beat you with his arms. So is there a player on Jacksonville that would concern you this week that they might try to do something a little different with?
Yeah, there's two players. The first one I would say is Devin Lloyd, who through 3 games has 2 interceptions, 6 passes defended. Very athletic player, sideline to sideline guy, smart player. I think he could be someone that they use to spy Jalen Hurts. I would also look at the safety Andre Cisco, who I really liked coming out of Syracuse a couple of seasons ago. He's their safety, and I mean he has an interception I believe this year, but he's also one of those chase and pursue type of guys, and very smart, astute football IQ. So those are 2 guys that I could really see being tasked with that assignment. However, do I think that they're equipped to do so? Do I think that they have the personnel? Not necessarily, not to stop Jalen Hurts solely, but I think that they have a healthy rotation of pass rushers to keep it fresh and give different looks and throw different pressures at them. But we'll have to see, because the Eagles have a heck of an offensive line, and Jalen Hurts has figured out a way to defeat 3 different attack styles against him. So we're going to have to see how this goes. But I am very impressed, to be honest with you guys, about what Mike Caldwell, the defensive coordinator, has been able to do 3 games into his career with this title. So, I mean, it's going to be sort of a chess match, I would imagine, on Sunday.
Yeah, no, that's fun. And because it seems that, Andrew, no one's really used that quote-unquote spy that we used to see, like, growing up as a kid, teams would spy Randall Cunningham, Donovan McNabb. We haven't really seen that technique against Jalen Hurts yet, so you wonder – and Doug Peterson knows Jalen pretty well, and yet he has evolved as a quarterback so much. So I wonder how much Doug is going to take his knowledge of, hey, he was limited in this area when I had him, and incorporate that to the game plan. And on the flip side, Hurts might say, I might have been weak at that then, but I'm not the same quarterback. So that chess match is going to be interesting.
Yeah, right. Doug Peterson, when Doug was here, that was when Jalen was struggling to utilize the middle of the field, and he was struggling to throw to a certain side of the field, and he was just very overly reliant on what he was comfortable with. However, he's evolved so much, as we've all seen, as we all know, being here this season, just seeing it 3 games in, that if they're using that approach, I think Jalen will be able to easily diffuse that and find a way to exploit that. So I don't know that Doug Peterson's past knowledge is going to really help because of how much Jalen has grown since then. But I mean, he at least knows some of his tendencies, so I would expect him to have a feel for it a little bit and lean heavily on Press Taylor as well, who was there and worked alongside Jalen Hurts as well. So I mean, it is going to be interesting to see how much that they're able to how much of that's going to factor into the game plan.
And speaking of Peterson and his tenure here, I tell you, watching Jacksonville, they definitely look like the offense has a few more wrinkles in it than it did in Philadelphia. It looks like that year off, he came up with some new things, a lot more motion, a lot more movement. You and I used to talk about how vanilla the offense is and not enough movement in the offense. Well, they've got some pretty interesting plays, and I think Doug has definitely got a little bit more creative with the play calling.
Yeah, and if you remember, I mean, we can remember back to that last season here. Doug looked like a dejected. There's just so much turmoil going on with the Eagles around that time. He looked like he needed a year off, and sometimes taking that step back and evaluating what the rest of the league is doing and being able to see things from a different perspective and not be so wrapped up and inundated in what you're doing allows you to go back to the drawing board, so to speak, and figure out a different approach in how to keep up with the NFL, because the NFL is constantly evolving, and some of his methods and philosophies were a little antiquated, if we're being honest. And I think you're starting to see a lot more innovation, and he has the guys to do it. He had the guys to do it in Philadelphia by and large, but I think now he's using his personnel to the best of his ability. So this game is not going to be easy, and I think that it's going to be a slugfest. And I mean, it could go, to me, honestly, it could go either way.
Andrew DeCecco, football at 4, Eagles and Jags. There's always storylines, and then there's ancillary storylines. The fact that the Eagles are 3-0. Everybody's, they're one of the top teams in the quote-unquote, power polls, whatever they're worth, 0 for the most part, but they get a lot of talk. But Jacksonville, hadn't won a road game 17 straight. They went on the road last week to L.A. and dominated. Now they got to go on the road again. Is it far-fetched to think that they can win back-to-back road games in this situation after not winning a road game for 17 years or 17 straight? 17 years would be something.
I don't think it's far-fetched because every game is unique and different, and this is a new team, and it's got a new leader in Doug Peterson, and who knows how to relate to his players, as we all know, and find different ways to motivate them. And I think that they're going to rally around him, knowing that he's coming back to the place where he won a championship. So I think it's going to be a really spirited game, and one that I think is going to come all the way down through the fourth quarter. It wouldn't surprise me if it did.
Andrew DeCecco, Football at 4, here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. And, of course, if you're watching the show live on the BFA Live Sports YouTube channel, you can catch us there every day, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Eagles and Jaguars, Doug Peterson's back. Should be a fun one, a much better Jacksonville team as the Eagles are back home. Always a pleasure, Andrew. I look forward to it again next week. It'll be Eagles and Cardinals next week we'll be breaking down here on Football at 4. Thanks, bud.
You're welcome, man. Be good.
Yeah, you do the same. There's Andrew. Always a good breakdown, man.
Just great stuff.
I'll tell you what.
As always.
You know, and he goes, James Robinson, saw him back at the Shrine Bowl. Mm-hmm. He goes from draft all the way through. He knows these rosters so well. He's really, really detailed in the breakdowns here. He likes, this could be, I feel like that whole, like they traveled last week. But if you watch them offensively, I remember at the end of the Doug, oh, my God, so vanilla, the play calling so boring.
They're pretty dynamic.
They're a much different offense. Don't think this is a boring Doug Peterson offense. They look a lot different than the offense we saw in Philly.
I mean, and statistically, they're in the top of several categories. So, I mean, that's the thing is that this is not your same old Jacksonville Jaguars team that's coming in. Mike, the Sports Bash is brought to you by the Gallery Bar, Book, and Games. Get your game on at the Gallery Bar, Book, and Games inside Ocean Casino Resort this football season. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Go to the Gallery inside Ocean Casino Resorts to go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to play. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLE.
All right, when we come back, some of the headlines from the day, some of the stories that everybody's talking about. You'll hear from them. We'll react to them. That's next. This is the Sports Bash on 97.3. We're live at Chickies and Pete's Crab House and Sports Bar. Phillies down 2-0. They got the game on in here. Have a beer with us, man. Maybe the more people, we can fill the bar up. We get some runs on the damn board.
Yes.
Need some runs, PT.
This guy Thompson pitching, by the way.
My God. All right, we got more Sports Bash coming up here on 97.3 ESPN.
We live in a community that cares. We make sure everyone eats, everyone plays, everyone stays warm, and everyone is protected. We support our youth in organizations that teach the value of community and self-worth. We make strides against breast cancer every day. Together, in this community, we make a difference. RK Chevrolet, RK Kia, and RK Subaru, proudly serving our community since 1982.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles, you want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all the Claridge has to offer.
The Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget, high school football Friday nights. You can watch the games on our website, 97.3ESPN.com. PT, Lower Cape May, Middle. They got the Anchor Bowl tomorrow. That doesn't feel right.
That's a little weird. It's usually supposed to be Thanksgiving.
Hey,
correct?
the Lower guy sent me some nice gear.
That's very nice. Good job, Coach Bailey. Good job. Well, I got a lot of friends down Lower. They're good people down there.
Good enough friends to send you some gear?
Well, maybe they sent it to you first. You're the host. I'm just Ed McMahon. You're Johnny Carson.
No, it was very nice. They sent a nice care package. They got that Fight for the Fallen week next week. That game is next weekend. And this weekend, it's the Anchor Bowl. You can watch that on our website, 97.3ESPN.com.
You know, Coach Rigitano just got his 200th career win.
Yeah, both teams are in a much better spot than they've generally been over the last couple of years. I think Lower's 4-0.
Yeah. And that's awesome. I mean, good for them.
We got headlines today. These are some of the things that have been talked about all day long on the radio station. We're going to listen to some of those and react to them. Josh has picked out some bites for us to kind of react to, PT, for today's headlines. What do you got, Josh?
Well, I'm going to start for you, Mike, a WVU alum.
Oh, I like
McAfee was on Get Up this morning, and this is what he said about the Philadelphia Eagles.
When you're talking about the NFC East, you got to talk about the dogs in Philadelphia. Sirianni talked about having horse manure and having soil and planting seeds in the bottom of that whenever he was talking about building his culture. And he said that the seeds are going to blossom through the horse manure, and the flavor of the horse manure is going to be great. And then this year, undefeated start. Jalen Hurts looking like a pinpoint precision passer. A.J. Brown's unstoppable. Devontae Smith, who was too small to play in the NFL, is going up on top of people's heads. The defense was slaying. The boys are hungry. I love the Eagles. I like Cowboys too. Anybody that does good business, I like them. But the Eagles feel like the new guys, dogs of the NFC East for the time being.
Boy, I really like that breakdown. That's a WVU kind of breakdown for me right there. Pat McAfee's right. The NFC East does go through Philly. You know, last night on SportsCenter, Keyshawn Johnson was breaking down his best wide receiver duos, tandems in the league. Number one, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. They got weapons there. Their offensive line is the best in football. They can run the ball. The question was the quarterback. So far, he's answering those questions. And if this quarterback plays like this, and even if he plays like his – I'm not even asking him to play like this. If he does what he did last year, they're good enough. He's playing at an MVP level. That makes them super.
Yeah, and I guess Pat McAfee hasn't heard of the swole Batman, the skinny Batman, and now the fat.
Oh, no, I'm sure
right,
he has.
But he didn't say it, that answer. I mean, you would have thought he would have brought the cape into it since everybody's so excited about that. I mean, they're so excited right now about the Batman analogy that, what is it, Jason Kelsey wants a fat man cape. Fletcher Cox says, we're going to need bigger capes. You know, instead of just one, let's get a bigger one. We all want to wear it.
Yeah, well, if they keep scoring, he said if we score on like a screenplay, he wants to get the cape, the fat man cape. I like what McAfee said there, though. And look, at the beginning of the year, guys, we were talking about whether or not the Eagles or the Cowboys. We talked about the quarterback difference. We thought Dak was the reason that Dallas might win the division and Micah Parsons. Well, Jalen Hurts now has to be entering the conversation. Now, the question is, can he do it over 17 weeks? He's done it for 3. Can he keep on doing it? I like that bite.
Next up, we got one of my favorites, Bob Costas, the legend. He was on Greeny this morning here on 97.3 ESPN FM, and these were his thoughts on what Aaron Judge might have heard. He hit 61 last night. What he's doing, how it compares to Bonds, McGuire, and Sosa.
People put that cluster of seasons that includes every 60-plus home run season not involving Babe Ruth, Roger Maris, and now Aaron Judge. They put it in a different place. They're not necessarily condemning those guys. Product of the time. Lots of guys would have done it. Past Hall of Famers of previous generations have said, hey, if it was available and I needed it and people were getting a competitive advantage over me, I might have done it. It's not a question of morality or criminality, but it is a question of authenticity. And to one extent or another, what McGuire, Sosa, and Bonds did was inauthentic.
He's not wrong. But I will say this. I think one of the key stories of that time was it really wasn't illegal. Like, the game didn't say you cannot do this. It was just an illegal product. But the game itself did not have. But that being said, I always said this. I lived it. That was my peak, man. 98. I'm at WVU. I'm having the time of my life. And I watched that summer of baseball. It's one of my favorite summers of baseball. And then the Bonds thing a couple of years later got almost ridiculous when he was hitting 71, 2, and 3. You can't take that away from me. And this whole mockery of, like, they're trying to make it like it's the American League leader. Somebody equated it to saying, okay, so is Drew Brees have the most passing yards in NFC history? I mean, it's ridiculous that they're trying to take away things that I witnessed with my own 2 eyes.
Right. It's try to lessen what Bonds did or what even McGuire did or Sosa or any of those home run guys and the numbers that they put up during the so-called steroid era. I'll say this. I'll say, number one, that I was into it, but I did not get the alert or anything. I saw it after the fact. last night. That's one thing. Two, I'm sure the Maris family is happy that he finally hit it so they don't have to keep going to things. And then my third point I'll bring in on Aaron Judge in 61 is that, did you see that nobody caught the ball? Did you see?
Well,
I had flashbacks to Joe Carter's home run dropping in front of me in 93.
Yeah.
Same stadium, same area of the ballpark.
The guy had a glove, too. A grown
Yeah.
man had a glove,
Yep.
and he dropped the home run ball.
Yeah, that's a couple $1 million he dropped.
But, I mean, listen, I get that 61 is a baseball historical number, but if you are of my generation, I think anyway, and I'm not speaking for everybody of my generation, but I think people who are of my generation look at the steroid guys and almost accept them. Look, I've always said, we paid and they played. The games happened. We kept paying our money. We didn't say, this looks a little
tainted. So you
tainted.
feel it's a little revisionist history for people to go back and poo-poo on it or try to, just block out that happened.
Well, the Bob Costas of the world, and I like Bob, and I think he's great, but the baseball purists of the world, and I would put myself in that group, but guess what? I'm 45 years old. I watched Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa hit a bunch of home runs, and quite frankly, I didn't think anything of it at the time.
Right.
And if you're telling me afterwards, you're telling me after the fact. I watched the game happen.
Yeah, and look, just because they were on substances, it's still hard to hit a baseball. You know what I mean? Long bat, round ball, right? I mean, they say that all the time. Hitting a home run, whether you're on something or not, is very difficult to do.
Really quick, did you guys hear the story about the person who got the ball last night?
I heard it was the bullpen catcher, I think, and his wife works for Weather Channel or something like that.
No, his wife was the former Sports Center anchor, Sarah Walsh.
That's correct.
Yes.
So Matt Bushman is married to Sarah Walsh. She's down in Florida in the middle of those hurricanes that are passing through. And at first she was very excited because her husband caught the ball, to which then she tweeted out a half hour later that she'd like to announce a divorce because her husband was giving the ball back to Judge.
Well, she tweeted originally that now she can retire.
Right.
Because her
30 minutes
husband
later, she's
caught the
divorcing
ball. All right, what else you got?
Let's get back to football. So we know there's a lot of Jet fans in the region, and this whole fiasco, I mean, I listen to Greeny every day, complain about the Jets, right? Well, Zach Wilson is back, and Dan Graziano, NFL insider, was on KJM this morning on 97.3 ESPN and talked about the Jets' situation with Zach Wilson.
For the Jets, they have to find out about Zach Wilson and his development this year. So the sooner they get him on the field from that standpoint, the better. I mean, I don't think anybody's expecting the Jets to be a playoff team this year, right? So, every game Joe Flacco plays is just sort of marking time, right? So they got to find out. They got to get Zach Wilson in there, see what kind of steps he can take this year toward being the franchise guy they drafted him to be.
Yeah, I said this yesterday, and I agree with Dan. You can't keep playing Flacco. Now, if they were 3-0 and looked like this offense was humming, maybe, but you're 1-2. You can't go with Flacco. You've got to go with the kid that you drafted, 2 or 3 overall last year, and find out if he can play. I got to support the Jets in this one, even though Flacco probably gives them a better chance to win. It's not about winning for the Jets. It's about finding out about your QB.
Guys, isn't part of the issue as well the fact that there's that conflict, Mike, you talked about, remember the Sixers, with the process. The idea is you had to go through the rebuild to get to the winning. So isn't part of the conflict for these fans saying, look, we can't focus on just winning right now because we got to rebuild this thing so we can win long term.
When you draft a guy that high, look, the 49ers went to the Super Bowl and went to the guy they drafted because they had to try to find out if they made the right. They traded 3 picks away to get Trey Lance, by the way. But that being said, the Jets need to find out. Everybody needs to find out who the quarterback is before they do anything else. So I have no problem with the Jets' decision here.
Rob Ninkovich, want to get to his cut because, he played for Bill Belichick. There's a lot of people questioning if Belichick, does he still know what he's doing? Aside from his, terse comments and press conferences, since Brady left, the Pats haven't been the same. So Ninkovich, who played for Belichick, was asked about it. Here's what he had to say.
I'm not ready to say that Bill isn't able to coach this team up and get them to be where they should be. And you look at the next 6 to 8 weeks, there's a bunch of winnable games, even with Brian Hoyer. If you look at the next 6 games, they can win 4 of those football games. That's winnable football. So am I going to put them in the Super Bowl? No, but I'm not going to say that it's time for Bill to go upstairs.
You know, that's an interesting one, PT, because I actually had like a aha moment the other night as this Patriots team stinks.
They're bad.
They're not fun. They're not a team you're interested in. They're not a team that you're like, I think because of Belichick. You almost feel that the whole Belichick thing is maybe kind of sadly washing
and he's
away
saying
into
it's time
mediocrity.
for him to go upstairs. If you listen to Belichick's fights when they were asking him about Mac Jones, when they're asking him about the quarterback position, he hasn't changed in his non-committal answers. You know, I mean, Belichick's as stubborn as always. The problem is the talent level, Mike. They're not as talented.
Well, and part of that is because Belichick has not done a good job drafting. They haven't done a good job in free agency. When they mess up in the draft, to try to fix it. Look, the Eagles aren't perfect in the draft, but when they've messed up in the draft, they've gone out and made trades, okay? We got it wrong with wide receiver. We could have had Justin Jefferson.
I'd call
you
that
could have had
course
Jalen
correct. Yeah.
You got Jalen Reagor and said, okay, we'll go out and trade for A.J. Brown.
Right.
They have not been able to fix the problems, and Belichick, just being the smartest guy in the room, seems to be like that.
And remember when it was going good, they'd find guys like Chris Hogan, who played lacrosse, right? He was a lacrosse player. They plucked him and then stuck him into that slot position. And all of a sudden, he's the new toy, right? When it's really going good, you have success stories like that.
I got a guy they found.
Yeah?
Brady.
Yeah, they did pretty well on that one, too.
That's the guy they found.
Yeah, the ultimate find.
I want to get one more in here for you guys. So earlier this week, Rob Motti was on Game Night here on 97.3 ESPN, and I didn't know this. Rob Motti is the person who assigns the MVP voters for the MVP voting for the AP. So Rob Motti talked about what Jalen Hurts' candidacy is coming from, not from the media, not from the Eagle fans, but from the voters. Take a listen.
Full transparency, I don't vote for the NFL MVP, but I assign the voters. So in some conversations with some of the voters already, including yesterday at the Tampa game where there were a few of the voters, we were just talking afterwards about the NFL 3 weeks in. And one guy says to me, hey, how about Jalen Hurts? And I go, and Tua, look at the two Alabama guys, both in that conversation, as well as Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and every year Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. But Jalen Hurts 100% legitimately is in that conversation right now.
Very interesting to hear that from not a voter, but the person who picks the voters.
Yeah, assigns the voters. You know, my buddy Barry Bedlin, who I worked with in Nebraska way back when, he is the head of all Associated Press sports. So he's probably Rob Motti's boss.
Okay.
I only tell you that because Barry Bedlin, once a year, I see him at March Madness handing out the Associated Press Player of the Year award.
Well, if Rob is saying that the other voters are talking about it and people are texting in like, this is ridiculous, first off, he was just named the Offensive Player of the Month.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Who generally wins the MVP award?
The offensive players that have won it the most months.
Correct. The
Yes.
the best offensive player on generally one of the best teams. Mm-hmm. So if the Eagles are good and Hurts keeps playing like this, I hate to tell all the haters out there, he's going to be in that conversation.
How could there still be haters out there? I mean, I know it's only 3 games, but jeez.
Well, you got Dallas fans that live in the area.
That's true.
By the way, really quick, I can confirm I was texting with Rob Motti earlier today. He is fine. Him and his family are fine down in Florida. Rob's had an interesting couple of weeks. He had to prepare for a hurricane this week while still doing his job. And last week on game night, he got pulled over on his way home while on the air. So Rob's had an interesting couple of weeks down there in Florida.
Well, Rob lives in that Tampa area, and I believe they got spared a little bit. They didn't get it quite as bad as like Fort Myers, down that.
Sanibel, Captiva, sure.
Yeah, well, a lot of people, I go to Clearwater a lot. I know a lot of people down there.
Kind of went diagonally up there.
And they were very worried about what was going to happen, and they didn't get it nearly as bad as some people thought. So that's good to hear. We have anything else?
That's what we got for today, folks.
All right, good stuff. I like the Pat McAfee.
I love Pat McAfee. That guy's very talented.
Pat McAfee, leadoff hitter on the Mike Gill Show here on 97.3 ESPN.
I love him on game day. You watch him on game day?
Absolutely.
Oh, he's great.
He's great.
Yeah, a lot of energy.
He is great.
He's worth every penny.
By the way, on that real quick, on the game day, do you guys think this will be Kirk Herbstreit's last year on game day?
That's an excellent question. I don't know if it's his last year, but I think he's coming closer to the end.
Because he's getting pulled so thin. I mean,
well, he does Thursday nights, then he's got to leave the Thursday night game, fly to wherever town, he's doing that. And sometimes the game is not in the same place as game day,
That's
so he's
right.
got to then get on a plane and get somewhere else for the night game.
Which is different than like Strahan, who can simply go New York, L.A., L.A., New York, back and forth. Strahan's
Well,
the other name I
Strahan
think of.
doesn't call a game the same day that he hosts the pregame show.
Right.
Herb Street does the Thursday night game tonight. He'll do Thursday night football. Then where are they doing game days this week? Like the 1 week, for instance, he did Thursday night football. They went to Boone, North Carolina to do the pregame show.
That's right.
The game that he called was not in Boone. He had to go fly to that game the same day. So you're catching 3 and 4 flights within a – that gets old pretty quick.
They're in Knoxville this week.
Knoxville.
Oh, okay.
Rocky Top, PT. You ever been there?
No, I haven't, but I remember Nebraska beat Tennessee real bad. And Peyton Manning.
All right, Sports Bash is live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN streamable app. PT, Bills are down 2-0. They just had some runners on. Reese Hoskins was up,
And he did not do the job against a guy named Thompson.
Any relation?
No relation.
More Sports Bash coming up.
We're here at the brand new RK Service Center. We've got to be super excited about all the things that are going on here at RK.
We are. We're super excited. We've been waiting this for a long time. We're very proud of this facility. We are hiring new technicians, so we're offering a $1,500 sign-on bonus. You can check with our managers in terms of the details on that. But along with that, we offer healthcare, dental, eye, 401k with a match, and on it goes.
No better place to look than right here at RK Auto Group.
RKAutogroup.com, but individually for each manufacturer would be MyRKChevy.com, MyRKKia.com, and MyRKSubaru.com.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles, you want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all the Claridge has to offer.
More Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN Live at Chickies and Pete's. Hey, you guys know I've been telling you about my friends over at American Airlines from Atlantic City International Airport. This is the best deal going. American Airlines and ACY are your gateway to the world. ACY is your one-stop ticket to over 90 domestic and international destinations. You can go see your favorite teams' away games. You can go to your favorite destinations. If you got to go see family during the holidays, you could do it from ACY. Save time and money. Avoid the fees and hassle of parking at the big city airport when you can start your next vacation from Atlantic City. ACY on American Airlines. Excitement is just one stop away. You know, they have a luxury bus that takes you from ACY right on up to the big city airport. You're in the bus. You don't have to do anything. You check in down here. And then when you fly home, you get on that luxury bus.
I think that's almost
and
better
come
than
all
that.
the way back.
I mean, that's the hard one. You know, haven't you ever gotten off the plane
Yes.
before in Philly and been like, damn, I can't believe I still have to drive another hour. Hey, we're looking for your fantasy football questions for Sky Guasco later on. Text us at 609-403-0973 or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app to get your fantasy questions in. They're already starting to come in. That's my job. I compile them and get them ready for Sky as each week he provides us with good fantasy football insight. But 609-403-0973. Couple things, Mike Gill. Text in your name, your town, and your style of league. Sky does like to know, are you a PPR league? Yeah, your scoring system. Are you PPR? Are you non-PPR? And he'll try to answer your question for you, and we'll get as many of those in as we can.
Yeah, send us a text with your question, 609-403-0973, and PT will compile them. We'll ask Sky at 5:30 tonight. By the way, run out of innings here for the Phils.
Well, it's the same thing that we talked about at the top of the show. This is your big three. Harper, Real Muto, Bohm, right? Harper, first and foremost, just struck out.
He was 3 for 3.
Real Muto's up the bat, and he just hit a foul ball into a guy's old style. Literally went into the guy's cup.
Yeah, and he just chugged
So the
it.
guy took the baseball out. Now he's chugging that. Have you ever had old style? That's
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure I could go the rest of my life and not have another one. But if somebody hands you a free beer, you drink.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been in Chicago and I've been to Wrigley.
Old style, same as it always was.
No, I don't.
Terrible.
I don't recall ever indulging in
Yeah?
an old style. You know, yesterday was National Beer Day.
Oh, well, I'm sure that you were promoting some IPAs somewhere.
Well, I didn't really know until
Either
like
officially
late in
or
the show.
unofficially.
I didn't know until late in the show.
I liked the one where it was National Sons or Daughters Day, and it was like a day early, and everybody put up the pictures of their daughters, and it was a day early.
Ramuto just got robbed.
Yeah, so that's 2 outs.
Doesn't this game have the feel of like if you lose, you're eliminated? Like,
yes.
As the at bats keep like strike out, line out, you're like, this is it right here.
It's just baffling to me that they could actually go winless against the Cubs. The stinking Cubs.
This is not a good Cubs team.
They're not good. And the fact that the Phillies can't find a way to beat them is, what's that line in Gladiator? I'm vexed. I'm very vexed. I'm
Never
not
saw
perplexed.
Gladiator.
I'm vexed.
Never saw it.
It's another one you haven't seen?
No,
Joaquin
man.
Phoenix is great in that movie.
You know, somebody was talking to me the other
And
night.
Russell Crowe before he got fat.
A buddy of mine, one of his favorite segments is 5:30 Tuesday night when we talk about the TV shows.
Oh, yeah, we do some entertainment stuff and
And
streaming. Yeah.
He loves it, and he said, we didn't give enough picks this week.
Oh, God.
We didn't give enough
streaming stuff.
Yeah, we just didn't give enough recommendations.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's only so much that you can recommend. I mean, there's new stuff coming out pretty constant, I suppose. But I mean, we got off on a tangent talking about one of the movies. I think.
No, you're not. You're out on the Dahmer.
Well, I haven't watched it yet.
But you said you're not going to.
I never say never, right? Which is a great James Bond movie. Never say never.
Well, I saw something from Variety.
What did they say
about the Dahmer?
Oh, I'm sure the numbers are good. People like true crime.
I don't know that was the numbers. I think it's just getting very good reviews.
Well, the acting's good in it. It's Ryan Murphy, the guy that did Glee and stuff. I mean, I understand why people are watching it. It's just right now toward the end of September, starting to go into October, I've got other things that are pulling my attention away.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the big nights are Tuesday, Wednesday. You got to get in on Tuesday and Wednesday because you got football on Monday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And you got this Phillies team that's pissing me off. I mean, come on. Like, end of the line is, like, even stuff I'm trying to give a chance to and I want to like. I watched that Quantum Leap again the other night, and I fell asleep. That was Monday night when I watched it, and then Tuesday, I had to go back Tuesday morning, and I watched it again just to see the last 15 minutes that
You said that wasn't worth it, though.
Not through 2 episodes, but I'll give it a third. I hope it gets better.
Now, were you telling me about Yellowstone?
Oh, yeah. Yellowstone's coming back, man. Yellowstone is outstanding. In fact, I'm going
What night's that?
Well, it doesn't come back for a couple weeks, but that's on the Paramount Network, and it's outstanding. I mean, if you haven't...
I watched the first episode, and we both fell asleep.
Well, it's a slow starter, but I'm telling you, so many people, Michael, my girlfriend's son, and I started watching Yellowstone when it premiered. It returns Sunday, November 13th, by the way. And John Dutton is now the governor, right? Governor John Dutton. So people identify with these characters.
Now, let me ask you a quick question.
Beth, Kelly Riley is amazing.
On the Dahmer.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll have to bring it up next hour.
Okay.
Fine. But I have a question for you and the people.
All right.
Okay? It's not a bad question.
No, I'm just chuckling.
I got to write the question down. Hey, I need caller number 7, 609-573-3776, 609-573-3776. If you are caller 7, you're entered for a chance to win Eagles club box seats for the Eagles Monday night game against Washington at the Link, November 14th, 609-573-3776. Caller number 7 right now. Get in. You must be present to win on Friday, October 28th. We'll be live at Garden State Beer Company, and all the qualifiers will be there. We'll have one lucky winner going to sit in the club box seats for the Eagles and Commanders. Caller 7, good luck.
The Claridge Hotel has been around for a number of years. Here at Park Place and the world-famous Atlantic City Boardwalk, just steps away from the beach. So we've had a number of people come through our doors, each with their own style and taste, which is why they chose the Claridge to take their visit to new heights. Book your getaway today at Claridge.com.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all the Claridge has to offer.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles, you want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
All right, final hour of the show. We're going to break down the schedule, go through all the games. Week 4 is here, and it starts tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Mike and Pete live at Chickies and Pete's. You can watch the show live on the BFA Sports live stream on the YouTube channel. Listen on the free mobile app. Message us through the app on your phone. Hey, don't forget, at the bottom of the hour, Sky Guasco, the Fantasy Fix. If you have a fantasy football question for Week 4, 609-403-0973, 609-403-0973. Get us your fantasy football question. Pete's been compiling. Oh, you got a nice list there, Pete.
Yep, thank you, Nick and Debbie and Stan and Chad and on and on. Get
And
them
on
in.
and on.
609-403-0973. Again, tell us your scoring system and your question and your name and town.
All right, here's my question. I need you and the listeners to interject on this.
Okay.
Okay? So we're watching the Dahmer.
Yes.
My girlfriend
you
and I.
and the missus, yes.
Now, when I watch stuff, especially if it's, like, real,
okay,
I am perpetually known to, like, read about it as I'm watching it.
Yeah, I do that.
I want to read the real facts.
If I didn't already remember, yeah, but I do that a lot.
Well, I want to see how close the show is to, like, the real, like, is it dramatized?
Right, but sometimes it'll act like as a spoiler because you might not know what's happening.
But that's my point.
Okay.
The Dahmer thing
happened.
It's already happened. There's no
Yeah.
spoiler here. He's picking people up. He's killing them. He's eating them. This isn't a
don't mean to
spoiler.
laugh, but-
It's not a spoiler. I know what happened already. I lived it. I was there. I mean, I remember
did
it.
your lovely get mad at you for doing
So
that?
there's a scene, and I had read that one of his victims, I believe, was a deaf person.
Okay.
So there's a scene in the movie where there's a guy standing in the street, and he, Dahmer says something to him, and the guy doesn't respond, and he basically, signs.
Right, I'm deaf.
And Dahmer ends up bringing him, like, oh, he's
getting it.
He's killing him.
Yeah.
As if it was a movie, and I knew the end of it, and I spoiled it for her. She said, would you stop telling me? She got mad at me. And I'm like,
I take her side. You shouldn't tell her what's coming up.
I said, it's not like it's not a spoiler here. We know what happens.
How rude. How rude to ruin it for your lovely, Heidi. She doesn't know what happened.
I mean,
She
that's like
doesn't know
saying
what's coming next.
if I was watching Titanic and I said, this ship goes down,
By
you're
the
going
way,
to get
the
mad
boat
at me?
sinks. Yeah, no, well, I think you're reaching there for that, but you're just trying to build your narrative. I get it. I understand. I understand why she's mad at you,
to
though.
be fair to her and you.
Well,
to
you're
be fair to
reading
her and
all
you,
the facts.
To be fair to her and you, see, I was trying to give you something.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
All of the people that he brought home, he did not end up
killing all
of them. So
Okay.
they do show how some people got out and got the word out and were basically trying to say, this guy's a monster, man,
Right.
and that the authorities weren't listening.
That's interesting,
So
and that happens quite a bit.
Sometimes when I make the prediction of it, it's not because I know definitively, it's my guess.
I have that. I like to know if I don't remember the story itself. I do like, but I will wait until the movie or the series is finished. I won't be basically. To me, I think her beef with you was that you were essentially doing play-by-play, which I get it because you're a radio guy and you do play-by-play. But she doesn't want to know in the middle of the episode, this guy's going to get it, this guy's okay, and you know that because you went back and researched all the stuff.
Well, we just saw the episode where he took the guy to the Ambassador Hotel. I have stayed in that hotel, and they were at the time. I don't think they do it anymore, but they were basically saying, like, this is the hotel where Jeffrey Dahmer took some of his victims. I think it was one of his victims, actually.
You stayed at the Ambassador when you were in Milwaukee?
I did, yeah.
For one of those baseball trips?
Yes.
Wow. I can't imagine that baseball group running the halls of the Ambassador.
Oh, I have a funny story. I can't tell it on the air, though.
Okay, well, I'll look forward to that one.
Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Week 4 is here. Let's get the Week 4 schedule going. Let's get it happening. By the way, Stan in Galloway, congratulations to him. Gary in Cape May Courthouse. And obviously, Kevin in Seaville was our 2 o'clock hour qualifier. Those guys are all going to be at Garden State Beer Company
As
on
will
Friday.
I, as will you.
All right, let's get into it. Week number 4, PT. Let's start it off with tonight, Dolphins and Bengals. I like this game. I like the Bengals a lot. In fact, who's in, who's out. I have them still winning the North. I like this Dolphins team too, but I think this is a tough spot for them. Short week, got a couple guys banged up. Bengals are a little under the radar. The Dolphins are everyone's number one team in the league.
Yeah.
I like the Bengals in this spot. I think it's 2.5, and I like Cincy.
I think Miami's off to a hot start because Cincy is at home and they're starting to course correct. I mean, the Bengals, obviously, they were your survivor pick, right, in week 1, and you went down, if I'm not mistaken. Not to bring up bad news, but I like Bengals 1.5.
Four back to 3.5 with 79% of the money going Bengals.
Got that. All right, Bengals tonight. That game's on 97.3 ESPN. Going to wake up early for a little tea, PT?
Well, I'll be up early because I produce a show that day. So if you guys will teach me how to work the damn TV in the studio now, I'll get it on correctly.
Same as you used to. You push the power button.
Yeah, you think it's that simple. Josh, you're laughing because you know why I was struggling, right? I kept getting that damn message last week that was like, this channel not available. It'll be available shortly. I'm like,
when you weren't in the studio on Monday, Mike, we had to get the Comcast people on the phone, Roy did, and get the whole thing fixed.
See? You going to apologize?
No,
How
because
rude.
it wasn't the way the TV was set up. It was a Comcast problem.
Wow, but it still ticked me off on Sunday when I was trying to watch something.
But I got it.
You're making it out like I didn't hit on. I hit on.
But you're the one that comes in and turns all of them off.
What are you talking
You
about?
hit all off, and you turn the box off. I can't stand
You're
people
not
who do
witnessing
that.
me when I use the remote. You don't know what I do.
Yeah, that's what you're doing. You're hitting all off, and you're turning off the cable box and the TV, so that when I come in on Monday and I hit power on the TV, the cable box isn't on.
That's not true.
Boom.
That's
buff
not
this.
true, but that's fine.
I hate people who do that. Don't be that person. Don't turn off the cable box. There's no need to.
Fine.
All right. Vikings and Saints. It's 9:30 in London, PT.
Yes, I will be up, by the way, to bring that full circle. Yes, I'll be up. I will be up, and I hope I figure out how to turn the TV on.
I like the Vikings here. It's no home game. It's a neutral site. It was supposed to be a Saint home game, but I like the Vikings. They're the better team. Give me 2.5 for Minnesota. Minneapolis.
Okay, so you're going Vikings. The Saints have been just underperforming for sure. Kamara has been an issue back and forth. Even when he's played, it's like, wait, is he in there? Is he, they have issues at quarterback, the Saints do. So I think I would agree with you that Minnesota's favored. But how many did you go?
2.5.
2.5? I'm going to go under that. I'll go 1.5, Josh.
The current line is set at 2.5 for the Vikings. Here's the thing, though, guys. The Saints arrived Tuesday morning Britain time. The Vikings are arriving tomorrow Britain time. So do you think that could impact the game?
I got to be honest. I didn't have much of a jet lag situation.
When you were
so I can't really
gallivanting around the globe?
I can't really comment too much on it because it didn't bother me all that much.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be an issue.
Browns and Falcons, kind of interesting game. Two teams that don't have a lot of expectations this year. Atlanta went on the road last week and won at Seattle after being on the road on the West Coast the week before. And Cleveland won last week as well. So kind of like Cleveland in this spot, even though they're on the road. I don't know. Cleveland – I actually like Atlanta, but I think Cleveland's favored is my point. I think Cleveland's favored by – probably 2.
Yeah, and I'll go slightly above that. I like Atlanta as well. They did win last week, but I don't like them so much that I don't think that they're above being a home dog, and I think they are a home dog here. I'll go Cleveland 4.
Cleveland is favored by 1 in this game. 1. And here's the thing to keep in mind. The money line bets are going 65% Browns. So the betting public is betting the Browns, but the book has almost a practical pick 'em.
Yeah, I like Atlanta in that spot there for my liking. All right, up next, let's see. We got the Commanders and the Cowboys. Oh, I like this game. I think Dallas wins this game, and the Commanders have I just like the Dallas defense, and I think this is a terrible matchup for Wentz and the line. I like Dallas here. I don't know. 3, 4? Give me 4.
You're going 4. Okay, I'll go even higher than that. 4 speed bumps. Washington, now that I've seen them up close and personal by watching them last week, I do like Dallas's D. I like Dallas's D against the Giants on Monday Night Football, and I still like them, especially returning back home. The offensive players for Dallas should be able to play better in front of the home crowd. You said 4. I'll go 5. I'll go a point above you, Josh.
The number is an even 3. Now, you can get 3.5 other books, but the book we're using, which is Mike Gill's Caesars Sports Book, it is a flat 3.
Yep, I like Dallas in the game. I actually like Dallas in the under in that game. I don't know what the under is, but I think it's 17-3,
The under is
17-10.
41.5, and 71% of the bets are going under.
Yeah. All right, let's see what's next here on the Sunday slate, 97.3 ESPN.
Seattle at Detroit.
It's not popping up on my screen.
Well,
okay,
that's
that's
just-
why I'm not getting
that's
it.
all right.
Seattle at Detroit. I would imagine this is an over game. Lions, pretty good. They've been over all 3 games this year. Seattle coming off a loss, got to go on the road. I like the Lions in this spot. How much of the Lions? They hadn't been favored for 26 straight games.
Right.
Now
and
they're
then they
favored
were,
twice.
Right.
Give me Lions 4.5.
Yeah, I'm going to go higher than that. I'm going to go Lions by 6.
Lions are favored by 4. I think we've learned anything in this segment. Pete Thompson keeps going the wrong direction in his picks and trying to outmaneuver Mike Gill in this situation.
I thought you were just talking about general life.
I was going with the picks.
How
Mike.
rude.
Mike, you asked about the over-under. The over-under is 48. Do you like it?
Yes, I do. I think it's 35, 25. So, I think Detroit can score. I think they can score in the 30s. Seattle, they got to get to 21, somewhere in that range. I think they can. I like the over in that game. Titans, Colts, go ahead.
Yeah, obviously I can confirm with you. So the sharp money has moved this line by 2 whole points up. They keep betting the over. The public money is 66% Lions. So, Mike Gill, you are with the Sharps.
Ooh. Titans and Colts. Titans were my favorite play of the week last week. I nailed that on Believe in the Bets. You can check out my Believe in the Bets podcast. I give you my 3 favorite plays. Last week I went 3-1 in my plays. My favorite play of the week was Tennessee. I like them again this week. I would imagine the Colts are favorite. I like the Titans in this game. I would imagine the Colts are the customary 3 at home, but I like Tennessee almost on the money line.
Yeah, and I think Tennessee is starting to turn things around. Meanwhile, it's hard for me to pull for a team that's 1-1-1. The Colts, to me, seem a scattershot, and yet they are home. So this one, they probably are favored. I'm only going to go Colts by a point.
The line is currently 3.5. Certain books have it at 4, but most of them it's 3.5 is the number. And here's the interesting thing to keep in mind. The public is going Titans in this game, 2/3 of the bets. So does that scare you guys off a little bit?
Not necessarily. I mean, when I hear that, yeah, you're like initially. But I like Tennessee here. I like Vrabel in this spot, and that probably will be one of my plays again this week. I like them. All right, let's see what's up next here on the Sunday slate of games.
Bears and Giants.
All right, Bears and Giants. Low scoring. Neither team can pass. Oh, man, Bears won last week. They're 2-1. I don't believe in them, though. Giants are 2-1. Somebody's going to be 3-1 out of this matchup here. Coming off of Monday night, games in the Giants.
It ain't the Bears, though. I don't think.
Well, neither team can throw or wants to throw.
Right.
Giants are favored by 3. I like the under.
Yeah, so you got Giants. I got Giants by 2.
Giants are currently favored by 3
Ooh.
over at Caesars Sportsbook. Now,
it's your book.
There are some books that have 2.5, just for information's sake. Mike, you mentioned the over-under. The over-under is currently set at 39.5. You still like it?
It's low, but these teams can't score. My God. I mean, Chicago games are painful.
Yeah.
They're tough.
I mean, you're talking about like a 2013 kind of game here.
Yeah. All right, we'll skip the Eagles game. The next game up is New York and Pittsburgh.
Jets, Jets.
Oh, man. Pittsburgh can't score. The Jets are going with a quarterback who I don't like a lick. Pittsburgh's got some good defense. The Jets are average defensively. Steelers are favored by 4.5 at home.
Yeah, I think the Steelers have to be favored at home, but you're right. There's question marks certainly up and down the rosters on both sides of this one. I'll go Steelers by 3, the customary 3 at home.
Well, Pete Thompson is closer in this situation. because it's 3.5 is the spread. Most books have 3, but Caesars Sportsbook has 3.5, and 70% of the bets are riding with the Steelers.
Phillies, by the way, just got swept.
Yeah, that's the ball game.
2-0. They did not score in the game. They got
What a bunch
swept
of losers
by the Cubs. All
That's
right,
unbelievable.
Let's go to the next one. Pete Thompson, pull that up for me.
Buffalo at Baltimore.
All right, Buffalo is in Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Good game. Is Buffalo a road favorite here? Baltimore is a good home team.
Right, tough to beat at home. Our boy Quast is going to be down there doing uniform compliance.
I like this game. I think it's going to be fun.
How many touchdowns does Lamar Jackson have against the Buffalo D? He had 5 last week.
I got Buffalo favored by 3.5 on the road, but can Buffalo lose twice in a row though? Kind of like Baltimore. I think
could be weather too, by the way.
I think Buffalo. That could be all week, everywhere, right?
Yeah.
In the Northeast, anyway.
Yeah.
I like Buffalo 3.5. I kind of like Baltimore as the play.
So you're saying Baltimore with the points? Is that right?
I think Buffalo is favored. I like Baltimore.
All right. So I think that Baltimore. I think Baltimore is favored by 1.
Pete's way off on this one. The Bills are favored by 3. The 3. Now, here's the thing to keep in mind. You mentioned the Ravens. Home dogs this NFL season are 13-9 against the spread. So if Mike Gill likes Baltimore, the trends are saying Mike Gill is going to be right here.
All right, I feel good about that one. Chargers and the Texans are next up. Texans are bad. Chargers on the road, a lot of injury issues.
Austin Johnson playing for the Chargers? He is, right? I believe so. The kid that went to the prep in Penn State? I think so.
Good for you.
I'm just throwing that in there.
Okay.
I thought you'd know the answer.
It's a nice nugget.
Jeez.
Chargers on the road. Texans 0-2-1. Texans are just bad. Let's put it this way. The Texans are a bad football team. Chargers have got to be a road favorite here. But how big? I'm going to go Chargers 5. Chargers 5, PT. I kind of like the Chargers in this game, too.
All right, hang on here. There we are, looking at it right up there, right? Austin Johnson, nose tackle. Ask me why I know that. Because we ran into his father the other day, and we were talking to him, and he said something about the Chargers, and twice in the conversation, the PT said, "Oh, San Diego is beautiful." And my girlfriend's son, Michael, said, "Los Angeles." And I said, "Yeah, we love San Diego." And he said, "Los Angeles." So PT was ing down his right.
I'm used to that.
I just thought you'd enjoy the anecdote. All right, so you went with the Chargers by 5. Is that right? I'll go with the Chargers by 3.
Chargers are favored by 5.
Ooh.
Exactly. The interesting thing to note with this game is, so the over-under is 44.5. It's almost a 50-50 split between over and under here.
All right. Well, that game, to me, check out the injuries before you bet it, because you got a lot of injuries for the Chargers. All right, Arizona and Carolina. Carolina's at home. Arizona's actually a better road team. I think they're like 9-1 in their last 10 road games, and the reverse at home. I think Carolina's a slight favorite here. I like Arizona outright here. I would imagine that Carolina is going to be a home favorite in the game, but I like Arizona on the money line, actually. Give me Carolina 2, but I like Arizona.
Arizona's been hit or miss for me. I have a hard time putting my faith in them, especially on the road. I think Carolina is favored. I think Carolina actually is going to win the game. I'm going to go Carolina 4.
Carolina is currently favored by 1.5 at half the books, 2 with the rest of them. We should note that, Mike Gill, you mentioned the Cardinals. Cardinals' money line is currently plus 110, and 86% of the bets are either taking Cardinals' money line or Cardinals on the points.
Okay, a couple more before we roll on out. Sky Guasco, the Fantasy Fix, is coming up. Get your fantasy questions in. 609-403-0973. Denver and Vegas. Vegas 0-3. Denver's offense has been a disaster. I would imagine, are the Raiders favored in this game? 0-3. Denver on the road. Probably like the under in this game. I think Raiders 2.5. I like Denver in the under.
Yeah. there's no way Denver would be favored in this game, but I think Denver
the Raiders
would
are
win
0-3.
the game. Yeah, I'm aware of that, but the Raiders are able to put up points too. Jerry Jeudy's had issues out in Denver, whether he's healthy or not. Denver's had trouble scoring points. Definitely go on the under, I think, because Denver's had trouble scoring points. I'd say Vegas by the customary 3.
Vegas is favored by 2.5 at every sports book. The over-under, gents, is 45.5, and 79% of the bets are taken under.
I skipped over one. My apologies. Green Bay and New England. Green Bay's at home. We talked about New England last hour. Just nothing. Their offense, Brian Hoyer's playing quarterback there. They got no weapons. They can't run the ball. Their defense is average. Green Bay doesn't have an explosive offense either, but I thought they showed me something gutting out a win on the road in Tampa last week. I know Tampa was limited, but they kind of got into a fight and came out with a win there. I got Green Bay here 10?
Yeah, wow, that's a lot. New England's a mess.
I think the Patriots stink.
New England's a mess. You're right, they can't run the ball. Now obviously Hoyer's starting to quarterback. And the flip side of that, Aaron Rodgers is starting to develop chemistry with his receivers. 10 strong. I'll go 8.
Current number is 9.5 is the number. Here's the note, though. 50% split on the spread. The public is split down the middle on this number.
All right. That one's, if New England hangs around and can score in that game, I'd be surprised. All right. Sunday night, you can hear the game on 97. By the way, Green Bay and New England will have on 97.3 ESPN. Kansas City, Tampa will have that game as well. It's the Sunday nighter. Kansas City lost last week.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa was a short favorite last week. I got to imagine Tampa's an underdog here. A road,
a home dog.
A home doggy dog for Tampa, which would be like a Brady anomaly here. Brady underdog at home. I think Kansas City's favorite. Here's my problem. Is Kansas City going to lose twice in a row? They did last year. They weren't the same team. I think Kansas City's favored by 2. I kind of like Tampa.
Oh, man. So Kansas City, you think, favored in this one based on the fact that Tampa lost last week. I have a hard time going against the Tampa defense. Maybe I'm, having some of the wacky tobacco, but I think Tampa by 1.
Gentlemen, this is a pick'em game.
No wonder we can't figure it out.
At the book. Now, some books have minus half point for the Chiefs. Other books have a -1 for the Bucks. So no matter what, you probably were going to get this on the nose anyway. Here's the number to keep an eye on. This year, Tampa has hit the under in every game.
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs have hit the under in 2 out of 3 games. The over-under in this game is 45.5. Your thoughts?
Man.
Yeah, Tampa coming off the 13 points where they couldn't get the 2-point conversion.
I would stay away. I mean, Tampa's offense has been limited so far, so I'm not betting over-under on that, but I kind of like Tampa if you're giving me home underdog with Tampa and Tom Brady. Last one, Monday night, Rams and Niners. I like San Francisco. I imagine they're a short favorite, too. I don't think it's the full 3. I would imagine it's like 1.5 points based on what they did on Sunday night on television in front of everybody. They were putrid offensively in that game. The Rams' offense hasn't been great either. I like the under in the game, but give me San Francisco and give me San Fran 1.5.
How come the Niners keep getting these marquee games, right? I mean, I don't want to see another 7-5 or whatever the heck that was the other night. You're right. The Niners have struggled. The Rams have struggled as well. I mean, how the mighty have fallen. Got to give the Niners a slight edge, especially because they're at home. I'll do customary 3. Niners by 3, Josh.
Niners are favored by 1.5. So here's the thing you know about this game. The sharp money and the public are in unison on this game. The sharp money and public money is heavily going
surprised by that
to 49ers, and it's going under. The over-under opened at 47.5. It is now down to 42.5.
That's not surprising. That number's dropped a lot on the under. 5 favorites of the week. Here we go. No particular order. If I'm not watching the Eagles, my eyes are on Bills and Baltimore, Dallas and Washington. I like those NFC East matchups. Kansas City and Tampa Bay, Cincinnati and Miami tonight, and then the Rams and the 49ers. They're my favorite 5 of the weekend. There we go. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. All right, Sky Guasco is ready to go. We've got questions coming in. PT's compiling them. We have some more room for your questions. 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. If you have a fantasy football question for Sky Guasco from Razzball.com, he's answering those coming up next as Week 4 in the fantasy football world is here. And Sky Guasco joins us next with the Fantasy Fix.
We're here at the brand new RK Service Center. Got to be super excited about all the things that are going on here at RK.
We are. We're super excited. We've been waiting this for a long time. We're very proud of this facility. We are hiring new technicians, so we're offering a $1,500 sign-on bonus. You can check with our managers in terms of the details on that. But along with that, we offer healthcare, dental, eye, 401k with a match, and on it goes.
No better place to look than right here at RK Auto Group.
RKAutogroup.com, but individually for each manufacturer would be MyRKChevy.com, MyRKKia.com, and MyRKSubaru.com.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles, you want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all the Claridge has to offer.
All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. And don't forget, you can watch the show live on the YouTube channel, BFA Live Stream. You can watch us every day, live and in color, PT. HD. How about
Wonderful.
that? How do you look in HD?
Heavy. Heavy and follically challenged, but that's not important right now.
Now, was TV 40 HD?
Oh, God, no. No, well, eventually. But you know what? Eventually they took like standard and then pulled it like silly putty.
Yeah.
And you remember silly putty? Like if you pull that and stretch that, it's not very flattering.
No?
No. So.
All right. Well, Sky Guasco is here. He's very flattering. He's been helping out the people from Razzball.com, answering your fantasy football questions. Here he is, here on the Sports Bash Live. And Sky's appearance for the Fantasy Fix is brought to you by the original Piccalilli, Route 206 in Chemung. Visit them on Facebook or at Piccalilli.com for their pick game specials. And be sure to pre-order to guarantee your spot in Sunday's lineup. Nobody beats the Piccalilli, Route 206 in Chemung. You know, Sky, there's a place around here. You have to call and order the wings like days in advance. Otherwise, you ain't getting them on game day.
Love it. Love the hype on the wings. Yeah, put it in order for me, Mike. I'd love that.
All right, let's get Sky. By the way, Thursday night, don't forget to get your Thursday night players in. We'll get Sky's plays for tonight. Bengals, Dolphins, playing. Who you got?
Man, I hate to cop out here, but this is going to be a play everybody, right? I mean, Joe Burrow should be just fine against Miami. Tua's a little bit beat up, so we'll see if he even plays. If he doesn't, I don't want the backup, but if Tua plays, I'm good with him as well. I think the Bengals actually win this game and maybe upset Miami if we're going to think of it that way here. But, I mean, Waddle, assuming he's healthy to play, Tyreek Hill, of course, Jamar Chase, of course, T. Higgins if he's healthy. If you're deep streaming, maybe a Tyler Boyd, but you might fade the third wide receivers there. And I'm not excited about either one of these tight ends, but fade the defenses. And if you're in kicker leagues, both of these kickers should have a nice night as well.
All right, Sky Guasco, get the questions, fire them in, 609-403-0973. We already got a good amount, but you can keep them coming. And
Bring
Sky
it.
will answer. We'll get as many as we can. Don't forget, leave your name and your scoring system. Let's look at some quarterbacks for week number 4. Justin Herbert banged up last week. Didn't look the same. Play or sit?
Yeah, Herbert's going to be just fine. I think going up against Houston, I think he'll be okay. Last week was down, but look, he still almost threw for 300 yards. He had a touchdown. I think he's going to be just fine. And we might get Keenan Allen back this week, so I'm good with Herbie.
All right, Carson Wentz, rough day at the office. Says this day going to be rougher at the office.
Yeah, I mean, going up against a divisional rival, I think Dallas has a decent defense this week. And look, I think he just came back to earth, right? He was unbelievable the first 2 weeks. This is the average Carson Wentz I think we're going to get. So if you can fade him, I would.
All right, looking at the quarterback, Sky Guasco. Kirk Cousins, a London game over there. So are you playing your London QB?
Yeah, let's go for it. I actually like a lot of players in this league, some bounce-back guys for the Saints. But, yes, Kirk Cousins, I'm going to fire up. I mean, he's not great in primetime games. Let's just hope over the pond. It's a 6:30 a.m. start for me, Mike, on the West Coast. So I'll be up bright and early for that one.
Yeah, this is one of those times where, like, on the East Coast, we get the better time there. You know, it's like 9:30. We get to do
Prime
some
time,
stuff.
totally.
Bang. Tannehill, man, they got the big win last week. They got the Colts this week on the road. I thought he played well last week.
I do too. The problem is Patrick Mahomes got the L against the Colts. So I think Tannehill, I think there's going to be a lot of running, right? These teams play each other really close every single week. A lot of Jonathan Taylor, a lot of Derrick Henry. To be honest with you, I'm going to fade Tannehill if I can. Although, yes, he did bounce back, number 8 QB on the week. But if I can fade him, I will.
Sky Guasco, Fantasy Fix. One more QB. Let's go to Russell Wilson. Off to a rough start, but, man, this guy's supposed to be a fantasy star.
He is supposed to be a fantasy star. Very, very frustrating. This is a divisional rival. I think that he'll be okay against the Raiders. But, again, I hate to say this, but if you can – look, for example, if I have Jared Goff, folks, I'm going to play Jared Goff against Seattle over Russell Wilson. That's where we're at right now. The Raiders, surprisingly, top 3 in the league against outside wide receivers. Might be fading my boy Cortland Sutton this week, and Jerry Jeudy might have a big game, but Russ might have a little trouble here, but he got to have a bounce back soon.
Keep the questions cooking, 609-403-0973. PT's compiling those. We'll go to the running backs. These are guys, we like to ask about guys in the middle of the road. These are people that get sent in during the week. Aaron Jones, Green Bay up against the Patriots.
Yeah, automatic. The Patriots are usually pretty good against the run. They have a good defense overall, but Aaron Jones is outpacing A.J. Dillon in every statistical category right now. And I still don't think we have a number one wide receiver for the Packers, so that might be Aaron Jones too. A lot of dump offs. Aaron Jones is automatic.
Big win for the Falcons in Seattle last week. Back home against the Brownies. Cordell Patterson, should he play?
I love it. Yeah, you got to fire him up. I mean, we're all waiting for him to not be Cordero Patterson, but the reality is number 4 in week 1, number 3 last week in running back. Going up against the Browns, I think he's going to be just fine. He's getting all the work in the run game. Surprisingly, not a lot of receptions, but he hasn't needed them yet. So you keep riding the train.
On the other side, Kareem Hunt. He got the split there, but is Hunt the guy you should be playing?
Yeah, I mean, traditionally the Falcons are not great against pass-catching running backs, but Nick Chubb is playing out of his mind right now. I can't see why they would not feed Nick Chubb. So if you need him as a running back 2 or 3 right now and you're hurt with some of these top guys injured, sure. But otherwise, I mean, I think Nick Chubb is the guy you want.
I bet you a lot of Hunt owners are wondering if he's going to break out soon enough. He did they split it pretty well last year, but you're right. J.K. Dobbins, he was back last week, but worth playing?
Yeah, J.K., I think this is like a monitor, right? And he's going up against the Bills, which I don't love. This might turn into a shootout, and Lamar Jackson has been passing very well so far this season. So if it turns into a shootout and the Bills put up points, the Ravens are going to have to keep up. I think that could outpace J.K. Dobbins. So honestly, again, if you can fade him, I would. If it was like head-to-head, for example, I would go Kareem Hunt over J.K. Dobbins.
Couple more running backs. James Robinson against the Birds on the road. This team looks pretty strong.
Auto start. You have to, right? I mean, he's healthy, clearly. The only thing we were worried about was this offense, which has turned around clearly since Urban Meyer's been gone. Lawrence looks great. Running back number 8, 6, and 6 on the week, 100 yards rushing last week, 4 touchdowns in 3 games. James Robinson's an auto start right now.
All right, one more. Let's go Jamal Williams. That's a big situation for him in Detroit.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, if DeAndre Swift misses, which I think he will with a shoulder injury, could miss for 3 weeks, Mike. They have a bye week in week 6, so it actually makes sense for the Lions maybe to just take DeAndre Swift out for week 4, week 5, let him rest week 6, and come back. And Jamal Williams has been very good in his place. So, yes, if DeAndre Swift misses, Jamal Williams absolutely is an auto start.
Okay, wide receivers get one more chance to send some questions in. 609-403-0973. Leave your name and scoring system. PT has got – you got a lot over there, PT. Should I even be asking you for more questions?
No. Bring him in. I type fast.
Chris Olave, let's fire him up.
Automatic, yeah. I mean, automatic's a little strong maybe. But Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry both got hurt last week. Jameis is not amazing, but Chris Olave has been amazing. I just put him in my Trade 4 article you can find for free on Razzball.com. I like Chris Olave a lot. Double-digit targets, I should say, in 3 games this week. I love that a lot.
What about Hollywood Brown? He's a guy that might be an interesting play this week.
Yeah, I think you fire him up here. Again, I mean, until DeAndre Hopkins comes back, which is still another month away, Carolina's been dreadful on both sides of the ball. I like Hollywood Brown a lot. 17 targets last week, Mike. 14 catches, over 100 yards, so you fire up Marquise Brown.
All right, Juju, he's going Kansas City. They really haven't had that big pass game. No one's replacing Tyreek Hill.
No, I mean, I was preaching that all summer long. It's not going to be him. We haven't even heard from Sky Moore yet. Marcus Valdez-Scantling, whatever. It's the Travis Kelce show. We know that, and CEH has played quite well also. Again, one of these middle-tier guys, like I'd play Chris Olave over Juju for sure.
Okay, Adam Thielen, he was a fantasy stud 3 weeks in. Is it time to kind of maybe move on?
Yeah, I mean, again, some of these guys are kind of tough here. Like, he's getting the work, right? He's got 8 targets, 7 targets. He caught a touchdown last week. I said this all summer long. We have Adam Thielen in our head as a wide receiver 2. Think of him as a wide receiver 3. Think of him as a back end, like flex position, and then he puts up good numbers. If you're thinking he's Adam Thielen for 3 years ago, he just isn't. It's obviously, Justin Jefferson, but he hasn't even shown up. I think the Vikings throw the ball all over the yard this week without Dalvin Cook.
All right, Sky Guasco, Razzball.com. You can always check out his live show on Sunday mornings. They fire that up around 10 o'clock Eastern time, and you can ask any other questions that maybe we don't get to. But 609-403-0973. You can try to sneak some questions in. We'll do as many as we can in the time we have left, and then Sky will give you some of his favorite plays, waiver wires, whatever he wants. PT, what do you got?
All right, Sky, you ready to rock and roll? Let's start off with Nick from EHT. He's got a half-point PPR league, and he wants to know Kyler Murray or Trevor Lawrence.
Great question. Let's go Trevor Lawrence. I know that's surprising, but the Kyler Murray hasn't been running the ball. I think it's surprising, but I'm actually going to go with T-Law here.
because he was the first one in, I'll give him the second half. Start one, Devontae Smith, Tyler Lockett, Jerry Jeudy, I guess that is, and Mike Williams.
Jerry Jeudy, again, I think the Raiders are going to not shut down Cortland Sutton, but they're very tough on the outside. I like Jerry Jeudy for a big game if he can stay healthy.
Debbie, hello, Debbie from Egg Harbor Township, non-PPR, wants to know Giants or Steelers defense.
Oh, I love that. We got, Steelers. You still got to go Steelers, even without J.J. Watt. I think they're just still a dominant unit.
She threw in there, do I flex McLaurin or ATN?
ETN.
Okay, Stan from Galloway, 10-man league, PPR, Aaron Rodgers or Jared Goff?
Love it. Let's stick with Aaron Rodgers.
Chad from the Villas, PPR, and I think you answered this, Justin Herbert, Carson Wentz.
Oh, Herbert, by far.
Dino from Galloway has a trade question for you. It's a PPR league. He says, hey, Sky, would you trade Christian Kirk for James Conner? And he also adds, I have Barkley and Zeke as my main running backs, Diggs, Adams, and Amon at wide receiver.
If I'm hearing you correctly, you want Christian Kirk or do you want James Conner? If I would keep Christian Kirk, however that works out, either trade for Christian Kirk or keep him. I want Christian Kirk over James Conner.
That's why Sky's the best. He can interpret what they're trying to say. Tyler from Wildwood Crest, PPR League, Chase Edmonds for flex or Jerry Jeudy?
Ooh, that's a great question. Let's go Chase Edmonds. He played well, and I think the Dolphins might be slow this week without Tua 100%, so a little more more Edmonds this week.
Tom from Obsequian PPR League says, I need running back help. I have Kamara, James Conner, Miles Sanders, Stevenson. I can only pick two. Who are the two? Stevenson from the Patriots, of course.
Yeah, let's go Conner and Kamara. I think Kamara bounces back in London.
Two more, PT.
Mike from Ventnor says, Adam Thielen or Jerry Jeudy at flex?
Jeudy.
And then Chris from Linwood wants to know Tua or Rodgers?
Rodgers.
Yeah, well, Tua's been going crazy, by the way, but you still like Rodgers. By the way, Tua's banged up. We don't know if he's going to play in that Thursday night or tonight. All right, that's all the time we have for questions. We'll give the floor to Sky Guasco, Razzball.com, and check out his live fantasy show on Sunday morning on YouTube if you got questions coming up to the last minutes before those games. What do you got this week, Sky?
It's been a little bit of a down couple of weeks after a massive week one, but I'm going to go back to Kirk Cousins in London against the Saints. Saints are a little beat up. I like Kirk Cousins and the Vikings to power up here without Dalvin Cook this week. At the running back position, I like Leonard Fournette a lot. He's getting the work with Mike Evans coming back. I think that opens up the offense there for the Buccaneers. Also, though, we talked about it earlier, Cordero Patterson, Jamal Williams, some of these backups I think are good options too. And, of course, Alexander Mattison if Dalvin Cook misses there. Also, wide receiver position, I'm going to go back to the well. Like I said, love Cortland Sutton, but I like Jerry Jeudy. I've already mentioned him about 4 questions today. And if my boy Keenan Allen is healthy enough to play, you put him right back in your lineup. I think he's going to be just fine. And then again, Chris Olave, I've been repping him quite a bit there. So I'm going to go Chris Olave. And then at the tight end position, if you're looking for a deeper name by any chance here, I still like David Njoku. He was a trade target for me. Going up against the Falcons, they don't have a lot of linebacker help, though, so David Njoku, that number 2 option in Cleveland.
All right, he's Sky Guasco. That's the fantasy fix for you for week number 4 here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, and, of course, watch the show live on the BFA Sports live stream on YouTube. Sky, good luck, buddy.
Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Good luck tonight.
All right, and he is brought to you by the original Piccalilli, Route 206 in Chemung. Visit them on Facebook or Piccalilli.com for their pick game specials, and be sure to pre-order to guarantee your spot in Sunday's lineup. Nobody beats the Piccalilli on Route 206 in Chemung. I'd make the call today. You're like, hey, on Sunday, because it's a 1 o'clock game.
Now.
Right, it's a 1 o'clock game, man. You got to get those orders in. Hey, we're going to close out the show coming up with what you need to know. By the way, Phillies lost. Magic number 7 with 7 to play, which means there ain't no room for error now. Now you got to win out. Now you got to do the job. They just got swept by the Cubs. Things are bleak. Things are bad. We'll close out the show next.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles, you want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
We're here at the brand new RK Service Center. Got to be super excited about all the things that are going on here at RK.
We are. We're super excited. We've been waiting this for a long time. We're very proud of this facility. We are hiring new technicians, so we're offering a $1,500 sign-on bonus. You can check with our managers in terms of the details on that. But along with that, we offer healthcare, dental, eye, 401k with a match, and on it goes.
No better place to look than right here at RK Auto Group.
RKAutogroup.com, but individually for each manufacturer would be myrkchevy.com, myrkkia.com, and myrksubaru.com.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all the Claridge has to offer.
All right, getting ready to wrap up the show. Live at Chickies and Pete's Crab House and Sports Bar. Phillies lost today, PT.
Unbelievable, Mike Gill. And the worst part is I'm digging through, because, we're kind of doing a show here, so I'm sort of passively watching. Apparently, Gene Segura forgot to count, and he's blaming the Wrigley Field antiquated scoreboard for it. He basically thought he singled, and he was on first base, and he thought, that, okay, there's ball 4 to the batter. I can wander off the base, and the pitcher came over and tagged him out.
Unbelievable. Brain farts, no hits, no clutch. Ranger Suarez pitched well.
What was that video you watched? What are the Phillies doing?
The Phillies aggressively trying to back themselves in. It was like a car.
GMC UConn just backing out and taking somebody out.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, 2 days ago, the math was way in their favor. They had to go 5-5 down the stretch, and Milwaukee had to go 7-2. Since that time, Philadelphia's 0-3, Milwaukee's 2-1.
Are you trusting Bailey Falter and Noah Syndergaard to win both games of a day-night doubleheader tomorrow?
I mean, they're playing the freaking Nationals, man. They are terrible.
They are awful, and they sent them ahead. They do that in the big leagues, you know what I mean? Like, get out of Chicago. They send them on the day flight so that they're already there, you know.
I don't know, man. I'm telling you, they just lost to the Cubs. They got swept by the Cubs. Now, they have handled Washington. I think they've beaten them, 18 out of the last 19 or 19 out of the last 20 or something like that. But that feels like, okay, we've beaten you so many times, we're bound to slip up.
Castellanos has to be back in the starting lineup tomorrow, no matter what, right? I mean, I know they
Let me ask you a
they
question.
held him out for a rest day, but he got a hit in the ninth.
Let me ask you a question.
That
Yeah,
was his hit.
I did see that.
I do. There was
Let me
a hit.
ask you a question.
Yeah, I'm ready. Go ahead.
Would you shake the lineup up? Is that showing panic, or is it time to do something?
I think you got to do whatever you got to do. I mean, yeah, why not? You know, and
What would you do?
Move, change somebody at the top. Put Segura at the top. Put somebody else at the top. Anyone. Put somebody that can. You know, you're not going to put Stott back in, right?
I hear what you're saying, but that's what we were talking with Bob Wankel earlier. Is they just don't have an option for the leadoff spot, man. But you got to get creative. I don't know. You put Bryce Harper there
at the leadoff. Wow,
He's not. He had 3 singles today.
Yeah.
He's not driving the ball. He's not like hitting with power. Maybe you hit him in the leadoff spot and put Schwarber like in
Down
the 5 hole.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just asking, like,
something.
Do you hit the panic button and say, look, this isn't working? We didn't score. They scored 1 run yesterday, freaking nothing today against pitchers no one's ever heard of.
Somebody said that Brandon Marsh lost the ball in the sun. I said he has sunglasses on. Like, I don't get that. The ball dropped inches from his glove, and then Suzuki ended up getting a triple for that. Well, he ended up at third base. But
Listen,
that's terrible.
They scored no runs today. They lost 2-0. He lost the ball in the sun, fine, but you got to score. You got to score. All right, that's it for us. But before I go, I need caller 7, 609-573-3776, 609-573-3776. Caller 7, you have a shot to win Eagles Commanders Club Box seats for their Monday night game on November 14th at Lincoln Financial Field. Caller 7, 609-573-3776. Club Box Eagles tickets. No better way to watch the game than Club Box style, baby. We'll be live at Garden State Beer Company on Friday, October 28th. You must be present to win if you want those tickets. So caller 7, if you want those tickets, 609-573-3776. Be caller 7 right now. Good luck. Thanks to everybody here at Chickies. If he's got a good crowd on hand, by the way. PT, I'm MG. We'll talk to you tomorrow.